I think that's a good idea. It is 3 p.m. and I'd like to call the August 7th, 2025 special town council meeting to order. If I could have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Caitlin, do you have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
No, Mayor.
All right, council? No additions, deletions, substitutions. Okay, comments from the town manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one item. At our last meeting, we talked about writing a letter to both Palm Beach Gardens and Palm Beach County, reference property that was being voluntarily annexed by the city of Palm Beach Gardens. And after having spoken with staff a little bit about the annexation maps, we found that our map, the county's map, and Palm Beach Gardens map all have the same property as being annexed into their jurisdiction. So in other words, it's on Palm Beach Gardens and it's on ours, and the county maps didn't attempt to resolve that. It just showed both of us potentially annexing the same piece of property. So rather than proceeding with sending a letter to both Palm Beach Gardens and Palm Beach County opposing the annexation on the grounds that it's on our map, which was the direction staff received last time, I would suggest that instead we reach out directly to the property owner, since it is a voluntary annexation, make sure they're aware of the facts of which community might benefit them most, and approach the matter through direct contact with the property owner rather than letters of opposition, which we don't believe will be effective in achieving the intended purpose. So I'd like to get council direction to proceed with contacting the owner of the property rather than writing letters of opposition to the other jurisdictions.
All right, Dee Dee,
That sounds fine.
Marianne,
I have no problem.
Diana,
That sounds good.
John.
As long as you tell them our mill rate,
As long as you tell them what?
remind them of our millage rate compared to theirs.
It's quite low. You've got a full consensus on that.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Comments from the town attorney,
No, Mayor.
staff?
No, Mayor.
All right, comments from the public.
John Steluto. Ann Basso.
This is comments from the public, so it is not about an agenda item. Last night when I was here and they were talking about the, Dana Little and Treasure Coast was going into detail about the potential development of all the commercial sites, the retail commercials that are, pretty much doomed to being torn down at some point. Just remember this on our zoning on these properties. They are also, the properties are also condemned by their size. In other words, you cannot, even though the zoning may say 25, 70, 75 on a mixed use project, on an acre lot, I'll give you just a quick example, because I ran the numbers. For instance, Coretta is 5 acres, which brings it down to, which made it 217, I'll do round numbers, 220,000 total square feet. Lot coverage ratio is about 35%, so that drops it down to 141,000 square feet. You go 4 stories, so you multiply that by 4 and you're up at about 565,000 square feet. If 75% of that was residential and 25 was commercial, you're left with 141,000 square feet of commercial. Everybody's like, oh my God. You're not going to be left with that because it won't fit. You cannot put that square footage, regardless of the use, on that floor. Oh, I shouldn't say regardless of the use. There are parking requirements, there are driving requirements, there's in and out. There's four points of highest and best use. This is what the whole appraisal world, planning world, lending world looks to. Physically possible. Is it physically possible to put a building that big there? No, it's not. Is it financially feasible? Certainly not. Not 140,000 square feet are not financially feasible. Is it legally permissible? Probably not. The zoning might be, but I don't think that it's going to be legally permissible if you have to find, have so many square feet for each type of commercial use, so many square feet, so many parking places for each resident, and then maximally productive. Again, that is not a maximally productive use. So for us to get all worried about these small pieces of property,
30 seconds, you can.
okay, these small pieces of property, certainly they're going to be developed, but they are going to be restricted by their own size.
John Stoluto,
John Stoluto, 401 Sunset Way. You all know why I'm here. I'm still fighting for my property rights. And I can't believe it. John, I had your sign out in my front yard. I voted for you. Dee Dee, I voted for you. I voted for you, Diana. I voted for all these people that are against. I might have, I don't even remember, but I know because they had signs in my front yard. And I can't believe you're doing this to me and all the other people on my street. And Diana, I'm representing our next door neighbor, Roland, Peter, the people up the street. Everyone I went to does not want this to happen. They don't want to come down here and talk. I talk because that's what I can do. I can't write letters. I can't do a lot of things. And but those are my problems. But I can speak. And this is just wrong, what you're doing to me. I mean, I bought this property and I was supposed to go up 2 stories, see the ocean. That was my whole dream. I even would brag about how I could put a garage underneath. People would say, you can put a underground, you can do it. Yes, because I'm on a hill, not on a dune. And also my house, I have to drive up to get up into it. And then to just pull out from under you is really wrong. There's only 314 houses that haven't been remodeled or moved up. And it's just not right that you're doing this to us. I would fight you, I would sue you, but I'm just a little guy. I don't have that kind of money. I mean, I would have put it into the house. But this is ridiculous. And then to involve us in a lawsuits. And Len, what if you were me? I think you should recommend to the town that they don't get into these lawsuits. This is ridiculous. And I think you're using me and the people in the smaller houses because you can beat us down, then you can control the other areas. That's what it is. You're bullying us first. And that's just wrong. And it's wrong to spend all this money to fight me. My own town's going to fight me. I'm fighting you. This is absurd. This is really absurd. Like I said, I used to have brown hair. In the last 60 days, you can see what's happened to it. It's white now. And I'm trying to be funny and keep humor involved, but I am dead serious about this. It's just not right. And I wish you would look at it from my point of view. I don't know if you guys are figuring down the line this will help you, because it doesn't seem like it helps us. I don't see everybody down here pounding the fist. I saw a guy last night upset because the house built up behind him. Well, when you buy a property, you check it out. You know what you can do. You know what you're allowed to do. You go and talk to the neighbors. I don't buy a house unless I talk to the neighbors. And you find out things. He should have known better. Buyer beware. We're here to see the ocean, go to the ocean. And this is just not right what you're doing. You're taking money out of my pocket, like I said last night. These are my property rights, and it's just wrong.
those are all the comment cards I received.
Okay, we're on to council discussion items, action items. Before we begin, council has a protocol to stay within 3 minutes for the first discussion, and then after all council members have finished discussing, the item can then go back to a continuation of discussion if necessary, if no motion is made and seconded. Question for council that I'm not clear on, or if we have it listed in the protocol, is when a council member puts an agenda item on, is that an item that we would limit it as well? 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes? Or do we want it to be as long as they want? So I just need a little direction from council on that because I want to know everyone's opinion. Dee Dee?
I think these discussions aren't a race. I think that the quality of our discussions shouldn't be legislated by the amount of time that we take. I think we all are intelligent people and have intelligent things to say, and that we can do it in a prudent way without putting just 3 minutes on us.
Okay, and that's fine. I'm just asking because I hear from different people different things, and I want to make sure we have a consensus on whatever we do. Marianne?
I personally believe if you're prepared, you can put your thoughts into 3 minutes. We're asking the same thing from the citizens, and they are very able to represent themselves and their point of view within 3 minutes. And we as councillors who have more exercise in speaking or more practice in speaking should be able to do this too. I remember yesterday when we timed each other how many minutes we spoke. Dee Dee spoke 16, John interfered, then he spoke 19, I spoke 10. I know the others went on and on. I don't think it helped with coming up with a decision, because I personally have difficulties to remember your first sentence, your first thought after 16 minutes.
Thank you, Marianne. That was a presentation versus a regular council meeting, so I understand what you're saying. Diana?
I don't have a problem with the 3 minutes before a motion's made, but when you have the agenda item, I don't think you should be limited to 3 minutes.
Okay, John?
I'm fine with the 3 minutes because the 3-minute intention was just to get everybody's sense of the item. After the 3 minutes, anyone could make a motion to give us all more time. I mean, if it's obviously we're on the same page, why beat a dead horse? Or if somebody brings up a motion into 3 minutes and nobody likes it, it's obviously it's not going anywhere. So we could, dispense with it at that point. But if somebody needs more time, I'm sure we'll give them more time. It's a case by case, so I'm okay with the initial 3 minutes.
And I'm going to do a consensus with John and Marianne, because we did have the materials in front of us, so we can see the materials that are presented, and we have that opportunity to read them. So Diana, or anyone else doing a presentation for you today, Diana, if you could limit that to 3 minutes, and then we can do a motion on it, or, continue discussion after that.
I'm not prepared to just do 3 minutes for the initial presentation. I have more time than that. Yesterday, I did do 3 minutes because I thought that was the expectation. But since yesterday we decided that we were not going to do 3 minutes, now today we're going to do 3 minutes for the person who's presenting the item. I don't think that's fair.
Okay, Diana, that was a presentation yesterday, which is different than a regular council meeting. This is a special meeting from the regular council meeting. So we have a consensus. You'll need to wrap it up in 3 minutes, and then you can go ahead and continue after either a motion is made, and we'll be able to hear the rest of your discussion as well at that time.
I have a quick
So-
question. Does this item require a motion, or is this more of a discussion? Or Diana, is a motion supposed to come out?
I think we need to have a motion.
We don't have to have a motion. If we don't have a consensus, there does not need to be a motion on it. So, I have a little bit of a hard time doing motions prior to full discussion on it as well, only because I think everyone needs to give their opinion before someone makes a motion, so we can hear everyone's thoughts on the topic. But if a motion is made, we have to follow that, the process of that. So the first discussion item is on legal risks. And Diana, you put this on the agenda, so I'll let you start.
A reoccurring governance issue has emerged in that administrative staff have after consulting privately with our town attorney, determined litigation risk, and then unilaterally decide whether a council-approved policy can be implemented. This practice undermines the authority of the town council and bypasses the public process essential to sound municipal governance. So this agenda topic is to explore the respective roles of town council, staff, and the town attorney in defining, evaluating, and acting on legal risk. And the governance question is whether legal risk is a policy matter, which is exclusively within the jurisdiction of town council, or whether it's an administrative decision for staff to make. And who determines the town's tolerance for legal risk? Our town charter says that the town council adopts policies and appropriates town funds. It also states that the town council members have fiduciary responsibilities as trustees of the public funds. The charter also gives town council budgetary responsibility, and legal risk often has financial implications. So what is legal risk? It's a spectrum of opportunity within a business decision. So any decision that involves the town has potential legal risk. It was described at our workshop as a yellow light or caution for potential lawsuit claims for any action that we take. However, it's uniquely the town council members as elected officials who are responsible to the citizens of the town that may decide that the public benefits gained as a policy matter are worth moving forward despite the quantified legal risk. Town council members are accountable to the community on weighing the risk and rewards and then selecting the options that create the most public policy benefits while mitigating against litigation risk with insurance or other risk mitigation practices. Therefore, council and not staff must decide how much risk is acceptable and whether there are methods to mitigate the risk. Staff should not preempt the council by presenting legal risk as a conclusion and a reason to alter or override council policy decisions. Legal risk is only part of the equation and should go before the town council so that elected officials make these policy decisions regarding risk tolerance. So the town council's role is to receive objective legal analysis from the town attorney for interpretation of the likelihood of a claim being filed and arguments that would be presented on both sides, and regarding the likelihood of the risk, the likelihood of success on the merits if a claim is brought. Town council can review this factual data, including the prevalence and outcomes of similar cases, potential litigation costs and insurance coverage and risk exposure. So, and then it's the council who weighs the litigation risk exposure against public policy objectives to decide whether to proceed even in the face of some potential litigation risk. So in summary, I think that litigation risk is a governance issue. It's not just a legal or administrative one. Council is a policymaking body elected to weigh legal, financial, and public policy considerations. Staff and the town attorney are key advisors, but financial decisions, including legal risk tolerance, belong to the council, who are responsible to the public through the elections and have been given the fiduciary responsibilities by a charter. So in part B was kind of an action plan. So in that, to clarify the roles and responsibilities, because if something is clearly illegal, staff must not proceed. But if there's a policy judgment, then that matter needs to come before the full council for a discussion. And the staff memos making a conclusion regarding legal risk can actually increase the legal risk to the town and limit the council's options to achieve a particular public policy goal. So I think that we should direct the town attorney to report directly to town council, in that legal advice related to council adopted policy should be provided directly to town council, and staff should be included as appropriate, but not the reverse. So when staff consults with the town attorney, the council should be copied on the inquiry and the response to ensure transparency and shared understanding. If the issue is significant, council may then formally request a comprehensive legal opinion for proper deliberation, including the facts necessary for analysis of that identified legal risk. So I would request a motion to affirm council's role as policymaking responsible for determining legal risk tolerance, and that we can restate in writing. And there was a point in our procedural rules where it fits, where we could say that decision involving legal risk tolerance or policy decisions reserved to council. And then so in conclusion, reinforce governance authority of the council, ensure legal advice is shared equitably and transparently, prevent inadvertent policy shifts given by a staff interpretation, and maintain the integrity of the policy-making process. And then in part C, I went through an example of how we could look at legal risk. And it was going through architectural review of a single-family residential home and the analysis of design materials and whether the town is preempted or not from architectural review.
Okay, Diana, it's been 6 minutes if you want to kind of wrap it up a bit. And then we can have more discussion and
Okay, so the example of the architectural review and the interpretation of the statutory section, the 163.3202,
Oh, please, no numbers.
that was described as a yellow light for a legal challenge. And those types of lawsuits are writ of certiorari. The writ of certiorari lawsuits, we've only had 5 in the last 20 years that were planning and zoning decisions. We've never had one that was architectural review based. And 4 of those 5 challenges were regarding houses that were too big for the neighborhoods. And in those, the writ of certiorari type lawsuits are the same as if the town were defending appeal from a speeding ticket or challenging a code violation. So as far as the cost to the town goes, I didn't get all of Lynn Rubin's legal expenses, but the assumption is 10,000 per lawsuit, and that's probably high.
Diana,
So-
I hate to interrupt you, but can you possibly put it on hold and give us the rest of the information after we discuss some of what you've brought out so far, because you're over the time and there
Okay.
was a consensus.
This is going through,
Yeah.
then you go through the potential legal outcomes and you go through the public benefits, but it's not just, is there potential that you would be sued or not sued? Because that answer is always yes, but it's how do you review the lawsuit? It's not changing whatever the legal opinion is, but it's weighing the risk based on that legal opinion. And for
Okay, Diana, I'm going to let you wrap it up, okay? And I'm going to go to, let's have some discussion or public comment on this.
Yes, Mayor.
Public comments.
Ann Basso.
Diana, are you coming back in or what are you doing right now?
I'm stretching
Okay, because, it's disruptive when we have anyone from council leave the council dais. So
Yeah, I
if
don't
you
like
could,
anybody roaming behind me.
okay, go ahead.
Okay,
But
as
put
for
me
legal
back.
risk, Lynn, you have said that downzoning is that there's a high percentage that the town is going to get sued. Diana has just given us another spiel on fiduciary responsibilities of the council, the objectives to take care of the residents of this town. Diana also told my husband, who said, you're going to get sued in this, and if y'all continue to take the property rights away from people. And her response was, before we can get sued, we have to pass an ordinance. Then, after the ordinance is passed, somebody has to go to the expense of hiring an architect, designing a house, having that turned down, then having an appraisal, figuring the loss of that appraisal, hiring an attorney to defend them, to come back at the town because the town has cost them a story, 2,000 square feet, 4,000 square feet, whatever it is, their risk of loss. And nobody's going to do that. It's too much trouble. How can a council member dare to put the rest of us in harm's way? Sure, it's an arduous process. It's a long, complicated, as Lynn knows, and no one knows what a judge is going to do or what a jury is going to do. but to put yourself out there and say, well, this is what they've got to do before they can even sue us, really, it's shameful.
I received no further comments.
Okay, Dee Dee, I'll start with you.
Sure,
You
I-
prefer to have me mix it up, I can. I don't always have to start
Um,
that in.
That's okay, and I may pass at times. I'll just start. I see this as sort of like an administrative thing. I'm not looking at this as topic specific, so I'm not going to get into any case studies or anything like that. I see this as cleaning up the administrative roles and clarifying the administrative versus legislative roles. What I would look at under the Part B, one, clarifying roles and responsibilities, I agree with bullet 2 in this case. In number 2, I agree with both of those bullets. Legal advice related to council adopted policy should be provided directly to the council. I think these are sort of communication issues that have come up along the way, so I understand why this came to the top of the conversation. I think would be fine to have us copied on emails from, if staff is asking for a legal advisory opinion from the town attorney, yes, send it to council. And especially include it if it's part of our backup materials, which may not have been done before, where council staff seems to maybe summarize the legal response, but doesn't actually give us the verbatim email. So yes, I'd appreciate being copied on legal responses that affect our policymaking. In number 3, I'm not quite sure what that means, so I'll skip over that. Number 4, prohibit use of staff memos to change or set policy. I agree with that. Generally, staff memoranda should not be used to revise or nullify adopted policy, and policy changes or reconsiderations must follow the format council discussion and vote. So to me, this is just about including council in those legal decisions and conversations so we know how some of those things are arrived at. And I'll just stop there for now. But generally, I'm in agreement with those items.
All right, and before we continue, Diana, I just need to know so that we all are discussing the same thing. Is this about eliminating staff's ability to discuss any legal issues? And you want it to be a council decision? That council makes that decision, which direction we go before staff even has the opportunity to speak to legal counsel?
The initial request was to be copied on the emails when staff had a decision with Lynn Rubin and it changed the policy. We had our May 2nd workshop on harmony, and there was a decision by the town council after that workshop to go a certain direction. And then on the May 26th, we got a memo from staff and it said, oh, Bert Harris, we can't go that direction. It wasn't brought up at the May 2nd workshop. It wasn't brought up when the harmony provision was
I'm going to stop you for
adopted.
a second because what.
I know, I'm getting
the
stopped a
ques-
lot.
I know, the question is just simple. Is this about staff not being able to see it, talk to the council or legal counsel, and everything comes to council first and they make the decision? That's the clarification that I think we need to make. Is it yes or no? Is that what you meant by this? Are you meaning just copy us in like Dee Dee was talking about?
Well, I do have some action items, and one of the action items is to copy us on the emails.
Okay, so which one are you looking for, though? We need to know that in order to make any decisions up here. Are you looking to,
If something's illegal, don't do it. If it's subjected to a policy decision, let the council make that decision.
okay,
And in the example for the workshop review and Bert Harris Act and all of that's the example that I was giving as to where policy was changed without coming first to town council.
yeah, and it would be council that would make that decision even if it was legal or not. Is that what you're saying?
Do you want to go down the line and then, or is this your 3
Yeah, no,
minutes?
we have to clarify what your intent is so that we
Well,
know
if you
what.
let
we're
me
talking
finish,
about.
then maybe it would
Well,
be
no, I don't
clear.
want to hear the whole spiel right now, but I do want to hear what your intent was so that Marianne can speak on it and make
Okay,
a decision.
if you go to part B,
Is this about
page 5?
stopping? No, the question was, do you want to stop staff from being able to be in contact with our legal counsel until council makes the decision on what direction they want to go. Is that a yes or a no?
I understood your question to be can staff contact legal counsel? The answer to that is yes, but include town council on that correspondence.
So you just want copied in on this. You don't want to
Correct.
make the decision if something is legal. You're not saying that at
I
all.
think that if it's a policy decision based on legal risk, that town council should make that decision, not
Okay.
staff.
I think we do, but let's go ahead. Mary Ann, knowing, hopefully that clarified it a little bit. Go ahead, Mary Ann.
Diana started her presentation, who is going to decide? And she answered her own question. It is she who wants to decide. But I would suggest there are 5 people here, and the majority of these 5 people will decide. I accept, even if I disagree with that, I accept the decision that our practice that the majority decides. I don't want to decide, and I can only repeat, I do not want our town to be exposed to lawsuits. It's not only the money, it's the atmosphere in the town. People are starting to hate each other. It's not, we want keep Juno Beach, keep our sentiments, keep our influence, keep everything on a harmonious basis. You talk about harmony with buildings. Let us be in harmony first, and then decide what harmony in buildings are. So I do not want any legal risk for the town. I'm against it. But I have to say, unfortunately, if 3 people accept it, I will have to go along. But I want everybody to know that I did not agree, and this is my point of view. And I will not give a presentation like a professor in a college now, backing up. I think I speak plain and clearly, and you can understand what I'm saying without wasting 12 minutes.
All right, thank you. John, I'm going to let you go next.
Good, thank you, Mayor. I don't want to see everything in writing between, I think the way things have been going, when the staff has a question, they feel free to, they contact the town attorney, and the town attorney gives them an answer, probably over the phone, because he doesn't work here. Do you put everything in writing in an email, Len?
No.
Thank you. I don't want to start that. I mean, there's a few reasons for that. Number one, Len gets paid for writing emails. I think Mary Ann brought that up a few years ago. He gets paid for phone calls and writing emails, and they take some time to get it exactly right, knowing they're going to be public record. Because once you put it in writing, it's going to be public record, and the details are going to be there. But that really stifles the back and forth that I believe the staff needs from advice from a attorney, because there's no attorney on staff. Just like there's no plumber on staff, and if you have a problem with a toilet, they need free to talk to the plumber. Without the plumber putting in an email and sending one back or whatever, because it's not their expertise. So unless we have a staff attorney here that we could rely on, rely on this guy. And over the years, I think he's done a good job of giving that advice. I hate to codify it and what he can do and what he can't do. If it's something of significance, now, I think Len does put it in writing, or the staff suggests it. Somehow, somebody puts it in a memo form, and we get it. If it's everyday things, and there's a lot of everyday things, I'm sure there's a lot of everyday things coming up. I think there's a few things working their way through as far as building code enforcement things, and sometimes, and there's no matter which way you go, Mary Ann, you're going to get a lawsuit. Somebody's going to be for it, somebody's going to be against it. So no matter what you decide, you can't completely avoid them at all times. But I'm not in favor of putting any more restrictions on the town attorney or the staff, and I'm in favor of letting things go the way they are. Now, if there's a specific incident that happened, I'd be more than willing to try to get to the bottom of it, what triggered this, but I think the relationship between the staff and attorney up to this point has been very good, and I think we should continue it as it is without making changes.
Thank you, John. You know, legal issues within the town, with the town, you know, the proper procedure is through the town attorney staff. They're the most knowledgeable and experienced with the subject matter. They explain it to the council members during our meeting with staff, give us memorandums. We hear the information during the council meeting as well. Do anything different would disrupt the municipal process, I think, and it puts, you know, both council and staff in a vacuum. I'm only 3 minutes here, guys, so don't worry. The first question, who determines the town's tolerance for legal risk, has always been a council decision and exactly how we've operated for decades. So in the end, we have that option of accepting or denying or you know, changing the decision at all times. It's always a council decision. It's how all other municipalities operate. Our staff is qualified. They go to training for this for years. And I think it will cripple staff. It prolongs the process of policymaking, costs more money, as well as I think it really puts us in too much of a political nature, you know, of making decisions prior to staff, you know, really being able to talk to council about it. I could go through your entire document, Diana, and I could show you where you have some inaccurate areas in your opinion, but I'm not going to do that right now. I do not believe that staff determines the acceptable risk level, and this was clear on the May 23rd meeting. The town attorney advised staff, the professional planners that are fully educated and experienced in this field, and then in turn, staff gave council numerous options. So we do have the ability to accept, deny, or accept with modifications. I think the system is working fine. I think, you know, I think one of the issues is we don't want to get into a situation where we try to control an outcome of a decision. We're not attorneys, we're not planners, we're not trained in these positions, and I think it's imperative that we let those individuals handle these positions, and it's given to council, and then council has that option. We always have had. And if we require more information, you know, we can go get it. You know, we can table it. We can move, you know, to another session. So I don't think we're ever in a situation where 5 council members are not on top of the legal ramifications and making good decisions on that. Now, I did hear kind of 3 people with a consensus. If anyone wants to make a
I get to
motion on
speak
this.
again. I
I
get
know,
to speak
I'm
again.
asking, I will, you'll have a chance. I'm asking
I
if,
didn't get to speak
you
before we
spoke-
make the motion.
Diana, you spoke at the beginning, so
I
hold
know,
on.
But it was my.
Diana,
issue.
stop right now. Let me ask for a motion. That's what we always do when we go through. We can continue discussion, okay? We're not going to take a roll call on anything yet, so just hold tight. Do I have a motion from anyone?
I would just like to say, I don't know that I would do motions, but I think some of this stuff, we could certainly clean up our process and help our communications generally. So I'm just going to say like, so one of these legal advice related to the council adopted policy should be provided directly to the town council. I think that, you know, maybe it's just a matter of asking our town manager to work with our new town attorney that we'll be hiring to just keep in mind some of these things as best practices for communication, and that we don't need motions around it. If there's just a heightened level of awareness that this could help increase our efficiency and understanding on all sides. That's what I would propose.
John, do you still want to make a motion?
Yes, I want to make a motion to allow Councilmember Davis to further explain her other issues up to 3 minutes. But I think we have that's my motion.
You don't have to make a motion.
I'll
If you
second.
want.
I'll second, John.
What is your motion, John? Do you please repeat it?
Diana wanted to say something, and so she didn't finish everything she said in her first 3 minutes, and she wants to explain some other things. And I think we should
What do you mean we need a motion for that?
No, we
You
don't.
need a motion of what to do, and my motion is to let Diana
So-
speak for another 3 minutes and get it off her chest and see where we want to go from there.
Go ahead and do a roll call.
Mayor Wheeler,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Hosta,
Nay.
Councilmember Halpern.
Aye.
I want to make it,
Pass.
John, this is happening quite a bit up here where we make decisions to do motions afterwards and then people are countering that. We need to get a process that's working. We said everybody would speak. We all spoke for 3 minutes and then a motion could be made and then we could speak again. But when you come in and say, okay, now I'm going to, subvert that and let her talk, it's like we don't have a process anymore. That process was decided at our meeting for our protocols. So now do you want to change that process and let everybody talk again and again before we make a motion? Because when I call for a motion, I do it because we decided to do that. So I need to have that from council and we need to vote on it again then if that's going to change, and we'll change the protocols that are in our policies. So John, tell me what your feeling is on that.
You asked for a motion, I made one.
No, the motion was supposed to be on the agenda item, not on a motion for continuing the discussion. We can continue the discussion, but I asked if there was going to be a motion, and if there's a continuation of the discussion, that's fine, and if that's the consensus. But my question is, the policy that we set was that we would all speak for 3 minutes. A motion could be made, and then we can continue discussion and then do the roll call. If we want to change that, we'll talk about it during council comments. We don't need to talk about it now.
We have the procedure
but-
rule that's coming up. We could do it then.
Yeah, and so we'll talk about it then. But it's very confusing up here when I say something and then you jump in and want to change the rules that we set. So I just want to make sure we're clear so that I can run the meeting efficiently. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, I'll clarify.
Well, we're going to talk about it we'll talk about that. We got to move on with this item. So Diana, I'll let you go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify that I believe that all municipalities and the attorneys I've talked to, they say all municipalities look at legal risk as a business decision. So it is a town council function and not a staff function. There might be some confusion about legal interpretations or legal opinions versus legal risk. But the legal risk takes into consideration the public policy benefits of moving forward despite that risk. And if you want to stay status quo and not be copied on the legal advice that staff is getting, I guess that's an option. But I just feel like we should be copied in an email if there's a question regarding public benefits and a policy judgment because a legal opinion as to whether there's litigation risk or not isn't the final decision. It's just a piece of information that goes into decision making. And I appreciate you letting me speak again. I wasn't aware that the people that are presenting the agenda topics only had 3 minutes, and that's not part of our procedures. So we can address that when we get to the procedural rule.
Absolutely. Does anyone else want to speak on this topic?
I just would like to, I would like to just point out, if anybody listens on Zoom to our discussions, do you think they are motivated to continue to listen? I'm wondering, what are we doing for the benefit of the people? We give motions, then we retract them, then we have somebody talk. There is no order. And we are not helping the citizens of the town. We're helping ourselves, our own ego, etc. And that should stop.
Thank you, Marianne. We do have protocol, but it seems like the protocol is changing. So we're going to have to make sure we set that protocol and we stick by it. And we have to abide by that because it's very difficult, like I said, to lead a meeting when we're changing the policy. If no one else wants to speak on this, do I have a motion? Or do I have a consensus that we won't move forward with getting copied on this legal aspect unless, you know, what we could, hang on, Diana, I wasn't finished talking. Rob, I'm going to ask this question. Do you, and Len, if you are sending something out, Len, to staff, do you find any issue with allowing that copy to go out to all of council? Because it's public information, it should be.
Well, yeah, generally it's public information.
Okay, so maybe that's the compromise is we allow anything that is in writing to staff to come to the council members. And anything that he does not put into writing, we're not going to go to the extra work and the extra expense of making him do it. And then Rob, go ahead, Caitlin.
I had received consensus during the early part of the discussion that 3 were in favor of keeping things as is,
Okay,
just to let you know.
Yeah.
so there's a couple options here. I would prefer to keep it as is. I don't want to get into more expense for anybody or more work, but John, let's make a decision, get past this.
Well, since you brought it up, if Len has no problem of making a memorandum that's in writing to the staff available to the council, I don't have a problem with it. I would like to see if the staff has a problem with that, any memorandum they get. Would the staff have problem of forwarding that to council?
I think there's a few different pieces to this puzzle that are perhaps confounding the conversation. One, staff does not typically request from legal counsel a memorandum on anything unless it were directed by counsel to get a memorandum, or we're bringing a particularly controversial topic, like you mentioned earlier, to council, a major topic, and we feel we need a memorandum as part of an agenda packet, we might request one. But in all cases where legal counsel is preparing a written memorandum on a topic to provide guidance to staff, that's going to be shared with council, most likely as part of an agenda item or separately as a, hey, FYI, everyone, this is being shared with you all because of it being a particularly important matter. Clouding this conversation is the continuing assertion, however, that staff are unilaterally making policy decisions that undermine our town council's position and authority in that regard. And that is a misrepresentation of what's actually been transpiring. When staff prepare an agenda item for council's consideration, it's our duty and responsibility to prepare memorandum and submit accompanying backup that reflects the many years of experience that staff have in weighing similar issues and making recommendations that are both in the interest of the town, the organization, and to the benefit of our council in making their determinations. When we do that, any recommendation that is advanced in no way whatsoever supersedes council's authority to make a decision. It's been pointed out in this conversation already, but it seems to have kind of been buried back into the conversation once again that council retains the authority at all times to accept a recommendation, to reject a recommendation, or to send us back to the drawing board and modify a recommendation, simply because staff makes the best possible recommendation that we are able to, given our collective decades worth of experience, professional training, and education, and simply because we validate our perspective with legal counsel by phone or whatever prior to advancing an agenda item, does not mean in any way whatsoever that we are undermining our counsel, but rather we're supporting the most effective and efficient conversation in the public on a particular topic by putting the best information that we can in front of council to help them make an informed decision and avoid debates like we often see at the dais here, which go on endlessly and perhaps sometimes needlessly because the facts are really right in front of us. And this is yet another one of those cases where we're talking endlessly about something that really reflects municipal best practices and has no threat whatsoever to council's authority. So that having been said, to the extent that our legal counsel, whether it's Len or a successor firm or individual, produces a memorandum that in any way hints at town council policy or any other subject, yeah, we don't have a problem at all with sharing a memorandum that's been prepared by legal counsel with council, because I can't even really think of a circumstance under which that wouldn't occur as a matter of standard routine practice. On the other hand, summarizing phone calls, quick calls, live in the moment, typing up an email, sending it to the entirety of council. Hey, we just talked with Len and he told us this. That's extremely burdensome, would bog us down and prevent us from executing our roles and responsibilities effectively, efficiently, and in a manner consistent with our legal and professional obligations. So all of that having been said, I think we have a lot of misinformation here. There's no unilateral decisions by staff. There's no work that's being made to set policy out of the sunlight. We bring all such matters back to council in public forum. There's no effort to undermine council authority. Strike three, the batter's out. None of those things are happening. So if this conversation is all about things that aren't happening or that they're misunderstood and perhaps thought to be happening, I can assure you right here, right now, none of your staff are doing that. We're doing our level best to help inform council decisions and leave policy where it belongs at this dais. Thank you.
May I respond?
No, I'm going to see if, because
One
we,
sentence response.
okay.
Okay. It's only town council that can weigh risk based on public policy benefits. That's council's job. So, bless them for their education experience and our wonderful legal opinions. That's all great. But it is really town council's fiduciary responsibility to weigh risk based on public policy benefits.
All right. And I think we do make that decision, Diana. I think 5 of us up here always look at that, and that is our fiduciary duty, and that's what we do. There was a consensus to continue as we are. Do we still have that consensus? And Len, we don't need a motion on this. We just need a consensus. Do we still have a consensus?
Don't need a motion.
Yes.
John?
Aye.
Knowing, and John, I want to add to that, staff is sharing all memorandums with council. What
Did
they
he
don't
change
do.
his mind?
Pardon?
Who changed his mind?
No, I'm just making sure. I just
Yeah,
want to.
we were 3-2. So
Right.
who changed the mind?
I'm not sure he did, but we'll let him talk.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what exactly we're on right now, but Mayor, you mentioned about memorandums that are in writing going to staff. Would they be shared with council? And the manager said that's the existing case. They are already shared with council routinely. So do we need a
Yeah, I would
motion for that?
just like to,
Is
can
that,
I speak
is
again?
that does that answer your concern or no?
Dee Dee, he's asking if
Yeah.
that
No,
satisfies your
I have
concern.
an additional question. I think part of the elephant in the room here is that this topic, Diana can correct me if I'm wrong, it sort of grew out of the whole Harmony debacle in a way. Am I correct, Diana? Briefly, because it seems that there was some, I don't know, communication and are you feeling that the interpretation of or lack of Harmony metrics weren't given to the council or something like that? Is that the origin of this? Or was there a specific incident?
No, there was 2 specific incidents. One was architectural review that we never got a legal opinion on. It was
Okay.
just a determination made at the staff level. And then the second one was that the direction, my interpretation is the direction that was made at the workshop, then the response was, well, you can't do that because now Bert Harris creates a risk. And that wasn't
So-
anything that was discussed at
So
the workshop.
if I'm correct, you feel or your interpretation is that staff was somehow taking liberties with the legal information provided
Yeah.
by,
Yeah, I just
Rob,
think we
please
need
don't shake your
guardrails
head. I'm
on
just
stuff.
trying to understand Diana's perspective, right or wrong. I just want to know the culmination of this. So that's one thing. The other thing I've noticed is with the Planning and Zoning Board, quite often when they're reviewing a plan, members of the board have said that they're looking at it, well, this is going to lead to a lawsuit, and that's somehow influencing their votes. And Len, I know that you said to the Planning and Zoning Board that it's not their job. Can you say that again, what you said? It's not their job
No, their
to-
job is to apply the code as written. And I've told them that many times.
And-
not
and
to
so-
assess legal risk.
While we're on this legal risk topic, I know this is ancillary, and John, it's not germane to this topic, but I think this is something else to be aware of as we talk about legal risk. And maybe we want to advise the Planning and Zoning Board to listen to the words of the attorney and be mindful that their decision-making should not be based on their, they don't have the legal authority to make that decision. It should be based on the code and not legal risk.
Either do we.
Well, and as far as this goes, like I said, I'm willing to just put this to rest in a way that we are more mindful of the way we communicate with, the staff communicates with council and future attorneys, and just, let's just clean up the process wherever possible.
All right, so we have a consensus to move on, keeping it like it is, and be mindful of the process. All right, going on to the next, resolution 2025-09, or this is yours, DD, agreement with Seacoast Utility Authority. I'm going to let you,
I misplaced my agenda. Which one's next?
The agreement with Seacoast.
Oh, okay.
Somebody
you pulled
just
that
pulled-
from the consent
Yeah,
agenda
that-
last
that's
time.
right. I just, with this one, I was concerned about how it was arrived at that this should be the deal that we make. Should we not be, do we want Seacoast really to be paving a segment of this road? Would we rather just take a fee, a use fee or something like that? My other concern is, this road is sort of a wildlife corridor. You know, there are bobcats and coyotes and other wildlife in the natural areas. And, I ride through there and I've seen, you might have seen animals in there, right? They're crossing that road. So if we're paving the road, are we somehow, encouraging vehicles to ride quickly through a natural area where wildlife may be crossing? And that was one of my concerns as well. So, Tim.
Sure. Tim Hannon for Public Works. So regarding the agreement, Seacoast has already started replacing water mains over in Juneau Isles. This is the second phase of that placement. They did use our facility before for storing equipment previously, and the thought was that maybe there'd be some benefit to the town this time around. So that's why the request was made of them, that if they were going to use the property, that when they were done, as they do, they restore the property to the way it was beforehand. But in particular, the piece of property on Rolling Green in front of Public Works facility would be paved. Today, it's basically a dirt road, as you know, but that dirt road extends all the way to Ellis and Wilson. So we're only talking about basically a couple hundred yards in front of the facility that would be paved. The idea was that basically they have their subcontractors out there doing similar work. They would have equipment on hand that while, you say Seacoast doing it, it's their subs that are doing it. So we didn't really be asking anything extraordinary of them, but we would be getting something in return and just basically trying to be cooperative and working with them and not put too much strain on them, but do something that would benefit the town.
And thank you. One of my other questions was, and I don't know, historically, why was that road never paved? It's a town-owned road, right?
It's a town-owned road. I think, being that it's between the two natural areas on either side, there was some sensitivity to that.
To that, yeah.
And that's why it was, not done. And again, we're just doing this portion in front of the facility where we're in and out of all day long.
And what's the dollar value associated with that project?
I knew you were going to ask that. I don't have a dollar value
Okay.
for you on that one. On their work in Juneau Isles, I
Yeah.
do not know.
Okay. The dollar value of the paving
Of the-
that they
of the
would be
paving.
doing, yeah.
Yeah, I unfortunately do
Okay.
not. Forgive me.
All right, thank you. I don't know if anybody has this question.
I do.
Go ahead, Marion.
I
have
do
any
not
questions?
have any questions.
Go ahead, Diana.
Tim, do you have the drawing in front of you? Page 24 shows the layout. It's attachment B. And it's got the pipe and storage, dumpster, fittings, aggregate dirt. The colored areas, are all the colored areas where the contractor's going to be?
Those areas, and in addition, if you look towards the front of the property along Rolling Green, there's a box there in the front where they're going to put a Connex and a portable toilet as well. So those areas,
In that box, the red box, it says fenced areas. It says materials, equipment, Connex box, portable toilet, and fuel tank. I was told when we discussed it earlier that they weren't going to be doing any fueling of vehicles. There's a concern with the contractors and storage of hazardous materials, toxic materials, fuels. Those fuel tanks always leak, you know, and uh, I didn't see in the agreement, it says this is the entirety of our agreement. I didn't see any insurance. I mean, we had fishing tournament and had, you know, 5 and 10-year-olds, and we
Sure.
had to get $1 million insurance policy. I didn't see insurance here. And then there's no time frame when they're going to complete the road, and there's no bonding or anything. So there's no, the road goes in after they finish their whole project. So what assures that they're going to come back and do the road? And I'm sure Suncoast, you know, the agreement is with Suncoast, but it's not, I mean, Seacoast,
Yep.
but it is their contractor that's actually going to be on our property. And so we wouldn't have the same assurances that their contractor.
well,
Um,
again, they have done this before, right or wrong, they did do it, and, you know, really it was no benefit the last time around. Worked with the contractors on a daily basis, and we also, if and when there was ever an issue, Seacoast is right out there to make sure that it gets handled. Anything that's come up in the past has been very minor, and as for an example, when they were out there the last time, basically the extent of what they had to redo was some sod inside the facility. To your point about the fuel tank, it was a double walled fuel tank that they used before. It was probably the equivalent of like 50 gallons. This is not some massive piece of equipment. It just keeps them from going off site elsewhere to take care of the couple of vehicles that they're using. And if that's a requirement of the agreement that we have to go back to them for insurance or something, we can certainly ask for that. This was drafted with to try to, you know, put this to bed and have them do the work and get something from them, but we can certainly add some requirements to it.
And as far as, I think we should have insurance and then bonding or something to make sure when they do the road paving. It is, I know when I was talking to Rob about our budget and looking at the quality of the workmanship on our roads, or that there are standards for pavement, and there's no standards in here either as to what the asphalt is going to meet as far as roadway standards go. So, you know, meeting DOT construction techniques or
You'd like it
anything.
further defined?
Yes.
Okay.
I have some suggestions for hazardous materials. I would say no truck storage, no vehicle maintenance, vehicle fueling. Their facility is just 4 miles from us, right? They're just
Yeah.
saving that time and
Well, but
using
you're
our
al-
facilities.
it's a lot of equipment and a lot of expensive equipment. So that the hydrants and the piping and stuff, they just don't have a place to store that close to the work area. So yes, this is closer, but it's the amount of space that we have available that is the reason for the ask. So, but I have down here that you'd like the insurance, the bonding, and further define the road itself for the paving. I can certainly go back and
The
revisit
quality
those.
and the data will be completed.
Okay.
That takes a consensus, right? I mean, we all have to agree with that. Len, if everyone's in agreement, I mean, can we take direction from just one person? I'm not saying it's not a good
No,
thing.
it would.
So we
it
need
would
to have a
be
consensus.
of the council.
Those sound like reasonable requests for using our
So Diana,
property.
could you mention name those again for me?
Insurance for the subcontractor, and we're named the beneficiary in the insurance, third-party insured, I guess is what we are. And then a bond or something for assurances that if something does happen, when we collect.
Right.
And then the standards for the road paving and no hazardous materials on site.
Okay, John?
Is this a motion or?
No, it's just, go ahead, and if you have any questions about this, or if you want to comment on what Diana would like to put in.
Are they the ones working in your neighborhood?
No.
No.
As far as comments, no, we don't want to require a bond. It's overkill for, the bond is basically to make sure that the contractor goes bankrupt or, leaves town, that you can get it done through the bonding company. But it'd be way more expensive to deal with a bonding company than the value you get from the bond. And Rob's on the board. He'll make sure it gets done right. As far as Seacoast, so
Mhm.
I don't see the necessity of questioning the thickness of the asphalt or anything like that. I mean, I mean, Seacoast is run by 5 municipalities. One of them is Juno Beach, so. And Rob being our representative on the board, I'm sure if anything went wrong, he would bring it up to the board of directors, and I don't think they'd have a problem with, correcting the situation. It's a friendly arrangement. And these things, as far as I know, don't get the same, legal risk or challenges as to a foreign, entity or whatever. So I would be against this, the bonding or getting involved in any, specifications on the road. But I would like to talk about the paving of the road. And I'm sorry to hear the police, our assistant police chief left the room. So I'm sure he would speak to it, but I'll speak in his stead. The subdivision called the Preserve used to be a well field that was never developed. It was for Seminole Golf Course years ago. It was not in the town of Juno Beach. They built a reverse osmosis plant to get their water because they couldn't drill wells over there, because if they did, it would come up salt and the water would kill their plants. So they had to have a well field west of town where if you drilled a well, you'd get up good water. So once they built the RO plant, they had no more use for the well field. So they sold it to a developer who wanted to build homes. They asked to be annexed into Juno Beach, and Juno Beach accepted that and increased our tax base. It was adjacent to the preserve, and it was between the preserve and Juno Isles. As part of that agreement, the developer agreed to pave Rolling Green Road at his expense, and we would no longer have a dirt road, we would have a paved road. Police department was against it because they said if you pave that road, kids would be out there racing at night to see who could beat each other a drag race. And the idea was we didn't want to make it easy for kids to go back there and have a party in the woods or, see whose car was faster. And so the bumpy road had its value. I don't remember it had anything to do with the wildlife on either side of the road, but maybe that did. But that's one reason from what I know of is that paving job never went through. But I think the extent of this paving is from US 1 westward just to the complex.
Correct.
That needs paving.
Does.
And so if we get it for free, just say thank you and appreciate that they're doing that for us.
Understood.
That's my opinion.
Thanks, John. I agree with John on the bond and the standards for the road. Len, can you tell me, is there any reason to have insurance, have that additional insurance, or is there some kind of insurance already?
So I didn't require, if it was a private company, of course, we would have required insurance. Ultimately, Seacoast is taking the responsibility for this and the responsibility for their subcontractor. So Seacoast is good for it. And there's an indemnification agreement in there. So if there's any claims or anything that comes out of it, Seacoast is going to have to pay for it. If there's any litigation, which I don't anticipate, there's a prevailing party's attorney's fees. I understand about the road standards if that's something you want to get into, but I didn't get into insurance. I agree with John about bonds. Bonds are generally are more hassle than they're ever worth when I've had to deal with them. But that's why I didn't get into the insurance. If it was a private corporation, of course we would have required insurance. But because it was Seacoast, not only is a governmental entity, but of one with which we're a member, I didn't really feel it was necessary in this case.
John, did you comment on the insurance? John?
Well, I'm sure they just have their insurance carrier add Juno Beach as a named insured, so that's easy for them to get. If we want that, I don't see any problem asking for that. They'll fax a form over to us tomorrow showing us we're covered.
Do you think it's necessary? That's the question. Len's saying it's not necessarily necessary.
Well, it's a 10-minute job either way. It's no big deal. They can, call
Okay.
the insurance company, say, add this name to it. They do it, they fax it over, and I don't.
I don't know who they're insured through. So again, this becomes complicated with private individuals because we're insured through FMIT, for example. FMIT can only insure governmental organizations. So we can't name somebody else as an additional insured under our policy because we're part of a government pool. I don't know how it works for Seacoast. I don't know who they're insured through, if it's a governmental pool or it's actually a private insurance company. I'm not sure. But look, if we want to at the very least, you can get a certificate of insurance. Even if they can't add you as an additional insured, you can get the certificate showing the coverage and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so do we want to do a motion since we're
No,
going to do
I
it?
would like to make a comment.
Okay,
I
I'm
haven't
sorry.
made a comment yet.
That's true.
I
you
would
have-
like to say, if I were Seacoast and I was going to do this for free, and I would get all these additional things like bond insurance, I would say, thank you, I'm looking for another place, and I will give the benefits to somebody else. It's like when you get a gift. It's like, it reminds me about the police foundation. We get gifts and then we have trouble accepting them and putting all kinds of conditions on it. Just accept it. I mean, we are the beneficiaries. Don't make it difficult for the donor. I can get it.
So I need to get a consensus here. Do we want to do it without the insurance? Can we get a consensus for that? Is that something that we can all agree with? Or do you want to add the insurance to it? Give me some kind of a, Dee Dee, what do you, and you've got 3 people here that don't want to do the bond or the standards for the road. So the insurance is the only
Definitely
thing
not.
left.
And Len says we don't need an insurance. First of all, we always want now, we demand. It's not
It's
me.
out there.
Okay. All right. First of all, we always, now that phone call confused me. Oh, we want every memo from Len because we have to be informed. Now Len gives us his opinion. Oh, no, we want our own opinion. I mean, you either trust the man and listen to him or you don't. He says we can do it without insurance. I don't understand your problems. And how does it benefit our citizens again? It doesn't. It does not benefit the town. It just benefits our own egos. We have something to say.
Okay, so let me do it like this, Dee Dee. If that's okay, I'm not going to go to you again unless you really have to say something, and I'll do option 1 is approval, just not even amend this and just approve it. Or option 2 is approve it with just the insurance. Can I get an option 1 or 2 and get a consensus like that?
A certificate of insurance always seems reasonable to me. So you don't think we need a certificate of insurance if the road comes out lousy or somebody gets run
certificate of
over by the machine, then we don't, I mean.
We'd have to maintain
is-
it.
Look, the certificate of insurance is for liability. I mean, we're not talking about the road and the way that they pave it or that.
This is like.
That's generally
strictly
for liability for anything that might occur.
I think
Now,
that,
and as I said, they're-
and that's just smart. I mean, whether it's workers' compensation, something. I mean, I think if somebody's doing work at your house, if you're hiring somebody to pave your driveway, you would probably want a company that's insured and
You
licensed to
remember,
do
you
it.
pay for that work in your driveway. We are not paying for this
But
work.
that doesn't mean we should
Okay, wait a second, guys.
give up the risk. I mean, just because we're not paying for it. I think liability insurance is prudent,
I hope Seacoast
Caitlin.
listens and says, forget the offer.
Anyway,
May I
so
clarify something?
hang on, go ahead.
In regards to the paving, that is going to require a building permit, so insurance is required in that.
Well, thank you for asking, adding that, because that's important to know. You see, I didn't even think of that, so thank you.
And if they're getting a building permit, they're going to have to comply with the applicable standards for roadway construction and paving.
That is very useful to
Yep,
know. and
very
I'm
important. Okay. Do
satisfied
we have an
with it.
agreement then? We're
Then-
fine?
Then I,
As a-
The risk that I was concerned was the workers on our property, as Lynn was talking about, and then the fuel tank and that stuff, but it's mostly having someone on our site.
Is that just a statement? Or are you trying to convince everyone otherwise?
It's a statement and it's a clarification
Okay.
of the risk that's presented
Okay.
by these people being on
So
our property.
we're going to amend it, approval is amended with legal review and a certificate, if they can supply it, I guess.
Can I make?
Can
a
I get a
Okay,
consensus
I'm
on this?
Sorry, Peggy.
I mean, we got to move on. We get stuck on things and
Yeah, I
can't
know,
even get
but-
off of them. Do we have a consensus on that?
Yes.
Understand.
On what?
On that, we're going to approve, its approval is amended with legal review with a certificate that they'll supply for us
So you
of
just want
insurance.
a certificate of insurance. I mean, we can, if they can name as additional shirt, great. If they can, just a certificate of insurance.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Are we good? I need
Yes.
some yays or nays here.
Yay.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Are you up for another one?
If I
Tim?
may, we
Well,
just
this is
need a
actually a
motion.
resolution. We need a
Oh,
motion.
We need a motion.
Yeah.
Sorry, somebody can make a motion, please.
I make a motion to engage with the Seacoast under the condition that they show us a certificate of insurance.
So we're,
I need a
the
second.
motion, yes, be approve the resolution, but then subject to proof of insurance.
Okay,
Understood.
thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
You do roll call, Caitlin.
Councilmember Halpern,
Aye.
Councilmember Hosta,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Aye.
Mayor Wheeler,
Aye.
unanimous.
Okay, we're moving on to, thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Moving on.
I just,
Go ahead.
1 minute. I would like to say here we have council member not being afraid of being sued by property owners in the town and expose the town to
Point of order.
legal risk.
All right, yeah, Marianne, I'm
But
going to have to
very
abide by
concerned.
point of order. If you'd like to bring that up during council.
I don't
comment.
even know what point
You
of
know,
order means.
That
What
means
does it-
that it's not necessary to talk about it now, and we'll talk about it during council comments if you want to
Okay.
bring it up then. Thank you.
All right.
We're going to move on to Resolution 2025-10, Rules of Procedure and Town Council Protocols. And I just passed a question to Caitlin. I'd like her to find the area that we talk about how many minutes we're giving. And Dee Dee, I'm going to let you start this, but that's something that I would like to add to this particular agenda item. So Dee Dee, go ahead since this is yours, and then I'll
I
do
didn't-
council.
You said that very quickly, so I didn't hear what you said.
So I'm going to let you start this out, but I do want to talk about the timing so that we get that down and we can all then understand and abide by that.
Okay. All right.
Want me to tell you where it is?
J3,
It's on page 33.
33.
J3, yeah.
Which side?
Thank you. Dee Dee, go ahead.
So,
Where
so,
is it?
this is
Page
the,
33. The bottom, it talks about.
in the policy statement, second line, council meetings, do we want to add workshops and sessions to that too?
Okay, what page, Dee Dee? Sorry.
The first page, the rules of procedures, page 51, 1 of 10. It's just cleaning up the language. So it's not just applying, it's a policy statements. Second line, all official council meetings. Should we just add workshops and sessions to that as well? So it's included?
Okay, so mine's not numbered the same as yours
Oh.
because I'm just going off of the handout that we got recently.
Out of 10.
Oh, maybe I'm
28.
using my prior,
28.
28, okay,
sorry, I'm using my prior markups. I didn't.
sure.
I marked it up from.
And tell me the
meeting.
paragraph again under,
First,
The
the
first.
first
First one,
paragraph,
okay.
second sentence. Sorry about that. We talk about referring to Robert's Rules of Order in the last paragraph of that section. Maybe we can get copies of the Robert Rules of Order. I mean, would it be helpful to have copies of it since we're talking about being in accordance with it? That would be my only suggestion. I don't know, order some copies of the book.
you're on page 28. I'm trying to find Robert's, we've
In the-
got rules of,
The last paragraph there, and that's
The
that same,
policy
under
statement.
policy, the last paragraph, second sentence. Any rule or procedure
Gotcha,
not
okay.
covered shall be decided upon by the presiding officer in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order.
okay, so let me ask you, everyone a question, and Len, this is for you too. Roberts, we can follow Robert's Rules of Order, but we don't abide by it. So is this putting us into a situation where we have to abide by it, or is it something that we can and, you know, if we
Well,
choose?
this is saying if it's not, look, the way it's either the code or the charter says the council can set its own rules of procedure, which you're doing in this document. It's just saying if something's not covered by this document, then you default to Robert's rules.
Which we
Okay.
don't have to consult, so that's why it'd be helpful to have a copy, wouldn't it?
Were you here when Joe LaBello handed that out? I think.
Yes, it was
he
about
did
3
hand-
years ago.
Yeah, I think so, but not everybody was here. Other
Right,
people may
right.
not have copies of it, so if, I don't know, what is it, $10 on Amazon or something?
I believe I do, I might have some additional.
Okay,
I'll check how many.
I do have one. Dee Dee, you have one?
I have it somewhere.
Okay, so you need 3. Marianne, you were on council during that time, weren't you?
No, I don't have one.
Okay, so you
Uh,
need 3.
I'm still, I have some other changes.
Well, Dee Dee, could I ask questions? Are we going to go and discuss each change individually?
I'm just telling you what edits I found, whether, if you want to discuss each one, we can stop and discuss each one. The presiding officer can decide how that method's going to work. Do you want me to give my corrections and then talk about each one? Or, you know,
I think we should just go ahead and through the corrections, and then we can talk about each one, unless it's just grammatical. You can just let staff know.
So
should I?
my question is, if I have questions, should I start listing them and then go bringing up my questions or comments after you've done, after you've presented all your questions?
Are the questions based on my comments?
Yes.
No, okay, so I just said that we need to answer anybody that has a question for Dee Dee after she mentions something she wants to change in here. You should, you know, address it at that time, so we're not going back and getting confused on where we were.
Thank you. I don't want a copy of Robert's Rules of Order. I don't,
Okay, thank you.
I don't
John.
want to refer to them. I don't think that we're going to take, you know, if we each have a copy of Robert's Rules of Order, I think it's going to add an hour to our meetings because the rules are dense. They cover every
Yeah.
situation under the sun, and I think
Yeah.
we'll be talking about what's in Robert's Rules of Order. I think the implication is the town attorney knows what Robert's Rules of Order, how it applies to situation, and we just ask him and get a ruling and be done with it. Don't bring those books on the dais and have us looking through it during council meetings, no.
I don't disagree with that, John. I think, you know, as long as everyone has the same thing that we've all, you know, if you don't want one, that's good, but I agree with you, John.
I agree
Okay.
with John.
Dee Dee, do you have the next one?
Yeah, under item D, decorum rules. Number 2, I think the word council should be in that first sentence. The town council shall adhere to the following, since it applies to a council meeting, not just the town. So I'd put in the town council shall adhere to.
Well, I think this is geared towards the town council and
It's for everybody.
residents too. So
Oh, well, I don't know. When you say the town, it sounds like I thought it was specific to a meeting.
how about the town council and residents? Should we do that? Is
Attendees,
that-
meeting, or you could say meeting attendees or attendees at the meeting, something like that. Anyway, you can let Caitlin figure out the wording, maybe. It just, the town sounded like something else. Anyway, I'll move on. Item E, enforcement of rules of procedure.
Dee Dee, I just said that I'd let everybody comment on that, John,
Right.
because we need to know if we need to make these changes and bring it back again. John, your comment?
The change is to let Caitlin work on it? Is that what?
Yes, to change that to the town council and residents or what they,
Or not,
as
if
appropriate.
that's just the way I'm reading it. If everybody's fine with it, we don't need to change it. It was just the way I was perceiving it, that's all.
do you have an opinion, John?
I'd say change the town to everyone.
Okay, then if it makes no difference, then leave it alone, it's fine.
Okay,
E, enforcement, is that for everybody or is that for the public and council? Do we need to specify who this is for, enforcement?
I think that's for everyone also.
Okay. Item F, under the duties and responsibilities, number 4. this presiding officer will represent the council and its consensus policies. I would like to council to consider inserting the presiding officer represent the council unless otherwise decided by the council. In
And
other words,
purpose, Dee Dee,
what?
give me an example of when that
I
would
don't know. There
be
may
in
be
effect.
an instance where council decides that the vice mayor should represent, or that nobody should represent, that it, just to add flexibility to that.
I'm not even sure when this is used at meetings like government affairs, if we're at conferences, that kind of thing. I think, are you okay with the way it stands, Diana?
I'm okay with the change.
Does that mean every decision we make, we have to decide who is going to represent the town?
No, I think it's understood the presiding officer will unless otherwise decided, unless there's a circumstance where the presiding officer, for whatever reason, wouldn't.
Okay, John, what's your feeling on that?
You know, I
I
would
got John
say.
first, Marianne.
Oh,
Hang on.
okay. I thought my name was John. I'm sorry.
Need some laughter. Go ahead, John.
I would imagine it's a case by case. If we wanted someone besides the presiding officer, we would have to bring it up at a council meeting and make that, there's no other way to determine that we want other than the presiding officer accepted a meeting, right?
Then you could put that wording in, the presiding officer will represent the council on a case-by-case basis. That
I
could,
I think that makes it worse. Yeah. it
Yeah, that
doesn't.
makes it confusing.
No, not that it makes it worse, but how would that be going into effect, Dee Dee, when you said that unless otherwise?
I
Was that something that would have to be decided at a council meeting or?
guess it would be prior to a meeting or a conference. So let's say we're all going to the League of Cities and it's understood that the presiding officer is going to represent the town, but
Yeah.
I don't know, the presiding officer decides they can't make it to the conference and somebody else needs to do it.
Yeah, that will be decided by the rank. Okay? Then
Or
it
leave
will
it,
go-
or leave it alone. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
leave
don't
it
want to.
alone.
And-
The more we meddle with that, the more confusing. This is the fourth time that we are looking at this. I mean, I'm sure Shakespeare wrote his tragedies much quicker.
Caitlin wants to make a comment, I think.
This is over.
It's basically
and I-
stating the same as the charter under the mayor's duties, but what I was just going to point out is for the Florida League of Cities and stuff, we always do the delegation forms where it has the primary and the alternate, with the mayor usually being the primary and the alternate selected if the mayor cannot make those type of meetings. So
Okay.
we
It
do
was
that
just-
annually.
Thank you. It was just one example. I always think that there should be backup or contingency options, that rather than just making one.
I think the
declaration.
contingency, if the presiding officer can't make it, it goes to vice mayor and then vice mayor pro
Pro
tem.
tem.
Right, and
It's like, it's a common sense.
it was just pointed out that that's in our charter as well, so
So,
It
okay, let's.
pretty
move
much will
on.
flow that way.
All right, and number I, scheduling of meetings and workshops. The first sentence of number 3, special meetings may be held on the call of the mayor or a majority of the members. And I asked this last time and it's still not clear. What is the process? If the majority of members of council want to call a special meeting, how do we convey that when we can't speak with each other?
I think we did discuss that, but Rob, do you remember our conversation, or Caitlin? So just repeat.
For this specific topic, if I recall, this is exactly based off of the charter as well.
So the process, I think, that was discussed, Rob, if I'm not mistaken, is that individuals would call into Rob. He can't, Len, is Rob allowed to poll in that situation and say,
You can poll for the purpose of actually having a meeting. You can't poll on anything of substance.
okay,
Rob can call you out and say, hey, do you want to have a special meeting? That's fine.
not on his own, but somebody would have to bring it up
Well,
first.
I mean,
right?
Rob can't call the
Yeah.
meeting, but if somebody, one of the council
Well-
members says, I want to have a special meeting, Rob could see if there's a majority that want to have a special meeting.
So now supposing I call Rob, I say, whatever XYZ happened, I'm calling a special meeting. Can the town manager say that they refuse to call a special meeting? and refuse to poll the rest of the council? Let's say Rob says, well, I don't think that requires a special meeting. Because
Why would you do
I'm going
that?
to, hang on, Marion. I'm going to let Rob answer that, but I don't think any
Not
town
you.
manager would do that, but let's let Rob answer that.
If I'm requested by a member of council pursuant to our rules and procedure to schedule a special meeting, which they're entitled to, there is absolutely no circumstance under which I would refuse to do that. I would poll the members pursuant to council's direction that I'm authorized to do so and report back, do whatever we have to do. Yeah.
All right. Okay, then, does that need to be explained, or that's just understood that that's the process, that council members can call special meetings? I mean, about the polling and all that, we don't need to talk about it specifically. All right, number 4, workshops. The definition of a workshop is a roundtable, an informative, collaborative. I actually have a document here that John had handed out. I don't know where it's excerpted from, but it's this section 1 overview, and it has definitions of workshops. And I think this definition of workshop, it says they are intended to address a single topic, typically one that is time sensitive. I don't know that that's actually representative of the purpose or nature of a workshop. I don't think the time sensitivity, it's not time sensitive because we have a master planning workshop. I mean, there's lots of different types of workshops. I think a work session may be more time sensitive because now I don't think time sensitivity is a criteria for a workshop. So I question that definition.
So there's an or in there, Dee Dee. Say time sensitive or requires in-depth review.
And I don't think either of those are applicable. Everything requires in-depth review. So I think if you look at what the definition of a workshop is, John, where did you derive this from? This League of...
League of Cities.
Okay, so according to the League of Cities in this document, workshops are a shirt sleeve meetings where council discusses topics informally to achieve better understanding of them. Occasionally, work sessions are held in a room away from the chamber. They may take many forms, address any subject. So
So
I just think that that sentence is not accurate.
Dee Dee, what would you like it to say? You want to give it another suggestion?
I would, yeah, or strike it, because I don't know if we need to define it or use the League of Cities wording from this document.
Strike it.
Yeah, strike it. That's fine.
So
Okay.
you're going to keep
Done.
they are intended to address a single topic? You don't even want that in there?
I don't think, because that's not true. A workshop could be on anything. It could be on multiple topics if needed.
Is that, it is, I'm trying to think back on our workshops. They've usually been single topics. I don't think we've ever had a multi-topic workshop, but
Except for the like goal setting workshop.
yeah, but still a one topic. It's on goal setting. It's fine. I mean, if you want to cut the whole sentence, is that the consensus?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Marion? Okay. It's
Okay.
gone.
And similarly, the next one, so we have to clarify what a work session is. I mean, so it says it could be on any topic. Is everybody okay with that definition of a work session as compared to a workshop? I don't know that the language is distinguishable. It's more, it's not the content so much that separates them as maybe more of a legal thing, right? Like a workshop, you can have legal decisions.
I think the workshop intent was to imply that there's community engagement and discussion at a workshop, whereas a work session is internally focused on council and is for you guys to work through particular issues in depth as a team, and it does not necessarily include public engagement at that point. That would come likely after council work through it in a work session. So work session, council focused, limited, if any, public participation. Workshop, more holistic, council, staff, public involved, that type of distinction. Whether the wording captured that or not, I'm not sure. That's up to you guys to decide, but that's the purpose there is if we advertise a workshop, we want the community to know that hey, we need you to come and participate. If we advertise work session, please don't come thinking that this is about collecting public feedback, because before the council is ready for that, they have to work through this themselves. You're by all means welcome to come and observe, but don't come with the expectation that there's substantial public engagement. That's the difference.
So as long as that's represented here, if you think that it's fine.
Yeah, I see no public participation. I think that kind of clarifies it.
Okay.
It would be nice at some time to decide in our work sessions with no public participation, how we want to handle that. If that's going to be just open discussion, or if I know when we did the May 23rd, some people were upset over the fact that we went around the room kind of like a council meeting versus, doing it a different way. So if we want to talk about that later, we can. I don't think it needs a discussion right now, but,
Okay.
Well, it already covers it right now.
pardon?
It says no public participation shall occur.
Right, I'm talking about the actual way we handle the meeting. So before, we were sitting in a round table kind of, and we all took our turns. If you want it more of an open discussion, we can do it differently. There's various ways but I think in order to keep order, we have to have some kind of process of everybody talking, and then we can talk again. Otherwise, we're just openly discussing, turning mics on. So if anyone has another thought on that process, you could bring it up later.
Okay.
Dee Dee, anything else?
Yeah, on the emergency meetings paragraph, it just move the wording, may be called by the town manager or mayor in his or her opinion if. It should be if in his or her opinion.
Yes, that typo was corrected.
Okay, thanks. Section J, motion and debate, number 7. I think that needs to be moved to section H. Because that's about, it's not relevant to motions, right? That's more about when to provide information for the agenda procedure.
Just to clarify, this is for if a council member wishes to share information.
Yeah, I
Number
think that
7.
goes under H, under those kinds of procedural sections. Motions
She's
and
on
debate,
J.
J7.
J7, she wants to
Thank-
move it to H.
Yeah, move it to section H. Okay, there's that. The next,
Is that any problem? Are we doing that? Caitlin, should we leave that up to Caitlin if she thinks
Yeah,
that's? Caitlin, we'll leave that up to you. You know,
because it's more about the procedures of when to provide information. It's not really about a debate or motion.
we'll give you.
This is the first paragraph of item J.
No,
No,
it's
number
the
7.
J7.
Oh, I'm sorry. Got it.
Yeah, we can move it to H.
It does seem right.
Okay, thanks. B, public meeting decorum. I'm on to that section where it says council members will. Number 7, Zoom should be capitalized. And then number 8, we added something about including applicable legal parameters, and I'm not even sure what that is. That was added from the last meeting and B, public meeting decorum, number 8, including any applicable legal parameters. What's that supposed to mean?
I'm trying to figure out this. All right.
We added it, but I don't know why. All right,
This is still J8.
this is B, public meeting decorum, the next section.
I think I know what it's intended to say, because when you, section, what? Yeah, it says council members shall ensure, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, so that sentence reads, council members shall ensure that all comments pertain to the public under discussion shall pertain to the topic under discussion and focus on the facts of a decision, including any applicable legal parameters. So in other words, if there are legal constraints on the array of options that are available to us, council members should always consider those legal constraints in making a recommendation on how to proceed. Because sometimes we have boundaries on our decisions. We can only make them within a narrow path. So to consider or burn time on options that are outside of the legal parameters is not to the community's best interest nor council's efficiency.
Okay. All right. To this section, I'd actually like to add, I guess it's a, I don't know what it's called. It's sort of a, I don't know, anti-discriminatory general paragraph. You know, council members will, and Len could help me fill this in, refrain from discriminatory statements based on race, religion, you know, sexual orientation, age, and all that other kind of stuff. You know, there's that sort of generic I think that as we're talking about this, I know a lot of governments add that kind of language in, and I think that that's important to add.
Okay, so my question for that, Len, is that just setting us up for actually getting into something that might not have been an intent or be setting the public up for?
We already
or
have
the
something
council?
in the code that talks about, if you look to section 112 of the code, we actually have an ordinance that says the council, you know, desires to secure for its citizens freedom from discrimination on all these bases. I think
I'm
it's
talking-
overkill, Hill.
I'm talking about each other, though,
Oh, you're talking about, well,
about
but
amongst council members.
that should apply universally, that we don't
Yeah.
discriminate based on all these different race, color, national origin, ancestry, religion, gender identity. You know, all that's already in the code. I just
Okay.
think it's overkill.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Number C, outside of public meetings. Item 2, I wanted to suggest deleting such that content, this is council members will curate any personal newsletter, blog, or similar, such that content only incorporates the official decisions and positions of the town council and excludes individual opinion. I'd like to strike that because each of our newsletters obviously have our opinion, which is why later in this same paragraph, it ends, any personal newsletter must contain a statement that these are your opinions. So the first sentence is saying that we're supposed to exclude our opinion, and the last sentence is saying we have to provide a disclaimer saying it is our opinion. So I'd like to just strike the sentence that says that we're supposed to only curate newsletters that incorporate official decisions and no commentary.
I agree with that.
Right, so you want to cut out curate any personal newsletters, blogs or similar.
No,
So
well, we keep the lead in, just cut the
Individual-
part from such that through commentary.
If I may, what if it read something like this? Curate any personal newsletter, blog, or similar, such that content only incorporates the official decisions and positions of the town council and excludes statements that may be perceived as insulting or demeaning, sarcastic, defamatory, etc.
No, because we're not only putting in you're asking us to only include content that incorporates the official decisions, and we're clearly not, and we're entitled to write our opinions in our own
got it.
blogs. Yeah.
I-
But we
if
can
I
keep the
may-
part about the defamatory part. We can give our opinions, but it shouldn't include, lambasting others.
Okay, how about this one? Curate any personal newsletter, blog, or similar, such that content excludes statements that may be perceived as insulting or demeaning, et cetera, and continue as written from there.
Yeah, yes, that's what I meant, yes.
So is this going to leave in official and position of the town? It's going to leave individual only incorporates. Does it take out excludes individual opinions? That's staying in. Personal commentary is staying in.
I think we should just delete that whole first sentence and just say any personal newsletter, blog, similar shall contain a statement that they're the only opinions of the writer. And then we don't have to worry about what's perceived as,
The point was that we can write our own opinions, but in doing so, we don't need to disparage others.
Well, and I'm going to open up a bag of worms here, but it's not just about disparaging people. This is about factual content. And that's important to me. I'd love to put that in there. Can only write something that has factual content. You know, having an opinion on something and that affecting our entire town with having an opinion on something that's not factual is what's having a problem. That's why we have a problem in this town and why it's so divisive. So we should be having factual content as well. So Can we add that to it? Factual content. You can't write something that's not factual. If it's an opinion piece, that's different, you know? Mary Ann does more of an opinion piece. You can't stop her First Amendment, right? Like we can't stop anybody. But when a council member actually is writing something that makes a difference to our citizens or makes a difference to council, I think it should be factual.
I need to do a point of order here because the town newsletter that had your information about the property takings, that was
I think I
offensive
said
to
it
a
would
lot of people.
increase property values, and that's absolutely a fact.
No, it's not.
It is true.
But,
It is
but you
true.
didn't back it up with data. I mean, if we're going to require facts from each other, then it has to be backed up with factual data, and there was no factual data to back that. So it
You know,
becomes just an
I did mention that I won't put that in there, but it was factual, and I could back it up with factual data if you'd like me to do it the next time, Dee Dee.
Well, then that
But
goes
it's
for
not,
all of
not
us.
factual, because I write things that are factual. And
Well-
this is an issue that we have and why we can't come to conclusions on things, because people are out there and we've got residents that are speaking up and saying things that aren't accurate because council members are writing things that are false.
I can back
things
up
that are
my
not
statements with
factual.
facts too. And,
But
and I often link to my facts so that people can click on it and
But your
get it.
facts are not actually factual.
They are.
No, they're not, Dee
Well,
Dee.
then I can argue the same about yours because
No, you can't.
no, yes, I can.
No, because
Absolutely. I'll bring my research to the table next time.
well, let's say when we're writing, we should put factual in the newsletter. They should be factual. So if anybody's got a problem with putting factual content in there, then we can understand why. Does anyone have a problem with that? It has to be factual.
Yes, I have a problem with that.
Go ahead, John. Why?
Because we'll have arguments over what's factual and what's not, and people have differences of opinion all the time on what's factual. That's the Facebook problem. When they try to curate the comments based on what's factual, people have entirely different opinions on what's a fact.
But in this
It-
town, there are facts. That's what we make decisions on.
I
Are the
understand.
facts of what's happening in town? What are the decisions? What are the ordinances? What's happened in the past history?
I know.
We can't have people out there just saying whatever they want to say and having a group of people follow them that are not factual. This is why we have the divisiveness we do in this town. So you can't say that facts, the facts you could do fact, you could say it's a fact and it's not factual, but you have to take that upon yourself to know that it's a fact. When I put something in there, I back it up. I back it up twice. I'm calling the staff. I want to make sure I don't make a mistake on these things because I don't want to give my residents anything that's not factual. That's a problem for me. And if you guys don't want to do it, then I understand why. But I think, you know, Mary Ann's got a different kind of newsletter. Hers is an opinion piece. That's totally different. She's not usually stating facts. So that's fine.
Zing, she just zinged you.
No, I did not zing her. I did not. I said she's an opinion piece. I don't see her saying,
You know, can I just say something? No, because I'm not an expert on every subject like my fellow peers here. They seem to be in construction and they seem to be in planning and they seem to be in law and they know it all. I don't, so I don't report too many facts, but I report what I say in an open meeting on Zoom. I say exactly the same thing. I say what you say in an open, and these are my facts.
and Dee Dee, I did not zing her. She does her job with her newsletter and its opinion. So I was not zinging her.
You rarely laugh, Dee Dee, and you have such a nice laugh.
Okay, so we are getting off. I just ask everybody if they could put facts in their newsletters. And if no one wants to do that, I'd like to see it be more factual so we don't have such a problem within the community of what is right and what's wrong. It takes 3 newsletters to actually bring out facts. I don't think that's the right way to go in this town. We should probably have 1 newsletter and it should be from the town staff, letting everyone know what's going on. Anyway, we're not going to get the facts in there. So where did we end up with number 2?
So
C2.
Strike the first sentence and leave the last sentence.
what are we talking about now?
Item C.
I don't see.
The
Say it again.
I think what we're doing, I'm sorry, Mary Ann, I'm going to let you talk, but I think we're
No, I
taking out
just
the,
asked which page.
The entire statement of insulting, demeaning, sarcastic, defamatory, disparaging, that's one of the reasons that we did this. We want to stop that, not only on council, but from the chambers. And we've done a good job of containing it so far. Why would we take that first one out?
No, that's the third sentence. We're talking about the part that says such that content only incorporates the official decisions and positions of the town council. That's the sentence coming out. And then it retains or statements made that may be perceived as demeaning. That stays in. It's only the part from such that through
The
work-
official decision, so only incorporates the official decisions and positions of the town council. You want to take that part out?
Yes, that's what we're talking.
Okay.
And
I'm fine with
excludes
that.
individual opinions, personal commentary, or statements, all that has to come out.
That part of the sentence.
No, because you're taking away Mary Ann's ability to do a newsletter then. Why would you do that? She's got
That's being
personal opinions.
removed. That's being removed.
No, nobody's preventing me from that. I have a right to free speech.
It's just a segment
Okay.
of that sentence. The part that gets deleted is such that content only incorporates the official decisions and positions of the town council and excludes individual opinions, personal commentary. This is the part that's saying, if you read the lead-in, says council members will curate. It's telling us that we should only publish the official opinion. And by taking it out, it lets us publish what's not the official opinion.
Okay, I think, Dee Dee, that Rob and Caitlin have it down here, what you're looking at
Okay,
doing.
all
And
right,
I
great.
don't have a problem with that.
Okay, great. In number
Well,
five,
does she have a consensus for that? What's everyone else's?
I'm good with that.
The consensus is what? Of what?
It's hard. So what
Rob?
you're doing, she's taking out Dee Dee, go ahead. Such
I'm
that
not gonna
content
say-
only incorporates the official decision
Okay.
positions.
I can read what we have, and
Yeah.
can you tell me if we're right?
yeah, you had it. Yeah.
All right, curate any personal newsletter, blog, or similar such that content excludes statements that may be perceived as insulting or demeaning, sarcastic, defamatory, or disparaging to others. Any personal newsletter, blog, or similar must contain a statement that these are the opinions of the writer only and not intended to be the official opinion of the town or council.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Because I think it's becoming a lot more difficult.
I think he's got it.
That's what So you don't need to re-wordsmith it because it
I
just says.
didn't, I just
think he did
deleted
exactly what
words.
you
I added no words.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be less.
Anything else, Dee Dee?
The other part of that lead-in is number 5, the word shall come out. So it reads, you're reading it with the lead-in statement, council members will. And so 5 should be, will not make any official statements. And then number 6,
That's fine.
it should just start with the word be. B-E.
Will be free.
Yes, council members will be free to take public positions. And that's all I've got.
Okay,
Okay,
nothing
I'm
on the
gonna-
last page?
No.
I'm going to jump back
Did
to
I miss
Jade.
the typo?
No, maybe, but I won't. be
Mary Ann, do you have any additions that you want to?
You know, I would like to say now, we finished this, right?
Well, I want to go through J3, and that was what
Doesn't everybody get a
happened.
turn?
Yes, we do,
okay.
but we will give everybody a turn.
A3?
Mary Ann, do you have anything else
No.
to add or?
I
Okay,
just-
Diana?
I would like to bring it to a conclusion.
Great.
Because I don't know how much time we spent on it. It's called like, there was this Italian economist, the Pareto principle. When you have a project and you spend 20% of the time to really make a very good first draft, and then you spend 80% of the time to correct details. It's like, it's a disappropriate amount of time writing it versus correcting it. So I think we should now say, okay, this is it. There might be a typo in it. There might be something that we could correct. and just put it to bed. It's done.
Right.
Feel good about something we achieved.
Thank you, Marianne. Diana?
Oh, I have a suggestion for that 3J. If you look on the previous page 4, it lists general meeting procedures and order of business in number 1.
Done.
And so there's a 1 through 10 there. And
Hold
what,
on, hold on. I'm not, let's make sure everybody's following you here.
page 31, G, general meeting procedures 1. Are you there?
Yep.
Okay, so that has the list of what happens in a meeting. So we currently have the 3 minutes for item number 9, which are comments from council. And what you're suggesting is that we also add a 3-minute limit for discussion items, which is 8. So then you're going to have to turn the page. When you turn the page to item 33, motions and debate 3, it's currently says when engaging in discussion, each council member, board member, or committee shall be allotted 3 minutes to address their item under consideration. Before that, you could do it in the same paragraph and you could say presentation of discussion items shall be allotted 3 minutes. And then so the first sentence is presentation of discussion items shall be allotted 3 minutes. And then the second sentence, when engaging in discussion, each council member, board member gets 3 minutes to address their item under discussion. And then under consideration, and then at the end of that sentence say, unless that council member presented their discussion item, then they are not allowed further discussion. So they just get their 3 minutes when they initially presented, unless you want something different than what happened today.
So I'm confused. You're saying allot the 3 minutes like we would do if we were just in discussion.
Yeah,
And
comment
then-
council number 9
right.
always has 3 minutes. And then what you added today was discussion items, which is number 8, that also gets 3 minutes. But then you don't get your another 3 minutes when you're going down the line if you were the council person that presented it, because you've already had your 3 minutes.
No, you do get to come back again, but you have to let all the other council members. So what happened today is you did a presentation for 3 minutes. We decided to allot 3 minutes. Then I went through and gave everybody else their 3 minutes.
Except
And
me.
then, well, you already had your 3 minutes at the beginning to state
That's
your
the
case.
presentation. It's not the discussion part. If the discussion items get 3 minutes and the council person presented the discussion item, I believe they should get another 3 minutes when it's coming through to talk about it.
You actually
that's
get as
not
much
gonna
time as
happen.
you want, Diana. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but not as much time and within limit, but you get to talk after that. And why?
That didn't happen today.
Yes, it did. You were able to finish up.
No, Ms. Basso got more time on the subject than I did.
Are you talking about the initial time?
I can't.
The initial time was 6 minutes that you took, Diana, and you're supposed to get 3 minutes. I gave you 6. And then we came back, we hit everybody else, and then you had the extra time to do what you wanted. I can go through as many times as we want, just I need a consensus from council on what we're doing. So it's in writing and we can all abide by it. And there's no confusion up here when somebody says, well, we're supposed to do a motion because it says here, following this, a motion after our 3 minutes, following this is a motion will be made and seconded before further discussion may proceed. I was trying to follow that. If we don't want to follow that, let's change the rule now. But discussion can go through again after the motion. It's not stopping anyone from talking. I would never stop anyone from talking. If
I
you want to
felt
talk,
like
that's
I was
fine, but
talking,
But here's the thing, if I hear there's a consensus up here, the presiding officer is supposed to take the lead, is supposed to listen to what's going on, and if I feel there's a consensus and we don't need to move forward, I don't need to drag it out for another 15 minutes. So that's the position that the presiding officer takes. And Diana, so if I stop you from talking, I think I've heard a consensus and I go back through. And that's when John did a motion for that, which wasn't necessary, John, thank you though. And I will make sure if everyone wants to talk and continue to talk, we'll do that. But the motion was made for him to continue talking before we actually made a motion in a second. So just let me know if you want to change the protocol, the policies here. John, do you want to change anything we have?
It's my idea to start with. So let me explain
Okay,
my reasoning again, why I put it in here and what it means. It says, when engaging in discussion, each council member, board member, or committee member shall be allotted 3 minutes to address the item under consideration. period. That gives everyone 3 minutes, and I would like 2 minutes, but they said 3 minutes. Everyone can get their first belch out of whatever their issue is about the topic. Following this, a motion must be made and seconded before further discussion may proceed. Now, that motion, I never intended that motion that must be made would be a final motion on the item itself. It says a motion, and the motion could be, let's have another 3 minutes for each person. It could be have another 10 minutes for each person. Let's take a bathroom break. Let's break this into pieces because it's too complicated. Could be any kind of a motion. But the intention was not to somebody start giving their 37 talking points because, as Marianne pointed out, we can't process that many. All we can digest is a 3-minute blurb from everybody in the beginning, and then we can kind of see where we stand. You could usually see where this conversation is going. If we all agree on it, we'll just make the motion to dispense with the item. If we don't agree on it, there's only one person pushing it. Obviously, I'll give you an example. I wanted a dog park years ago. I said I wanted a dog park. Nobody else wanted a dog park. I shut up. They didn't have to tell me to shut up, but that's a situation where after 3 minutes, everybody says, 4 people say they don't want a dog park. I could read the room. So that was the intention. And it wasn't that you had to make a motion on the item itself. It could be anything from tabling the motion to anything you dream of. So anyways, that was my intent. So I'd say leave it alone. So in this case, earlier today, it was so complicated. Diana had her 3 or 6 minutes, and I said she needs to get more out of this because she put a very detailed, many-page memorandum. She couldn't deliver that in 3 minutes, and it's just courtesy. I didn't vote on her to agree with her, but I gave her the courtesy to spell it out and say what she wanted to do. So that's
And
the intention.
okay, so that helps to know about the motion because in my opinion, it was a motion to make a decision and a second one and then a discussion. That's typically what a motion is. I do not do that I want to give everybody the courtesy to speak as much as they want. And I know when you do that to me, it almost looks as if I'm not going to do that. But I thought the intent was that we need to shorten these meetings. If there is going to be a motion on, we don't want to, we're fine with discussion, we've discussed it for 3 minutes, I need to hear that. Now, if I don't even know if we should have a motion in there, Len. When we say a motion, it's going to confuse things because if I have to ask for a motion, we're going to get some kind of motion. If it's not on the item, it's going to be on the item typically. And then we have a motion sitting there when we haven't finished full discussion. And I agree with you. I think we should have total full discussion before motions are made. But I don't think this is working quite like this. So maybe we go back to, we have full discussion, make sure everybody's finished. Don't be redundant. You finish your first, part of the information in 3 minutes. You can come back again. And then we do the motions. Any other opinions on that?
I like it as it is, the 3 minutes for discussion. I think for someone who has an agenda item that they shouldn't be limited to 3 minutes. And if they are going to be limited to 3 minutes, it should be put in here so you know ahead of time.
Okay, so we'll decide on that. And then Marianne, what do you think about leaving this like it is and making a motion before we're finished with total discussion?
I
Then-
just know that Diana's presentation at the beginning, maybe I'm the only one, but it was too much information. And it was too much food at the same time. And my stomach just couldn't take it all. So I think if you prioritize what you want to say, you can do that in a short amount of time and people understand you. I could not repeat what you said, but I can repeat things that John said. It was just too much numbers, paragraphs. I mean,
So can we move on from here? What, do you
What?
want 3 minutes or not 3 minutes? I don't understand where you're going with this.
I want 3 minutes.
Okay, I think 3 minutes is good. I like it too.
Are you taking over the mayor's position?
All right.
I just didn't.
Okay, so
Oh.
you want to do 3 minutes. Do you want a
Yeah.
motion to come in the middle after everyone's talked for 3 minutes, or would you like to have full discussion after that and then the motion?
I think short is better.
But when does the motion come? Just after the first 3 minutes, and then we'd have a continued discussion anyway? You're going to get everything you want to say in, is what I'm saying.
Yes,
So,
I think I can, but I think we all should, because we are experts in any other field. So we should be experts, so just get our mind together and put it in 3 minutes.
okay, so right now I'm hearing it's okay to do a motion right after the 3 minutes.
Yes.
Whatever motion, John, comes up, whether it's a motion for the item, whether it's a motion to table it, whether it's a motion.
Absolutely.
I'd
And
like
if you
to-
think that that we need more time because all the discussion hasn't been heard, go ahead and say, I think we need more time on this. I'll gladly vote for it.
Right, well,
Make a
but
motion
here's
that
the,
we-
here's the issue that I'm finding. I give 3 minutes and then we do a motion. And then, and then when I ask for the motions, John, you'll say, well, we haven't finished talking yet. We got to give Diana her time and I'm fine with that. But just say, please, we'd like to speak more on this topic, because I don't know what the motion's going to be, and I'm at a loss here, and I don't want it to look like I'm not trying to give that time, because I would. Anybody that wants to speak up here has to be able to get at what they're saying.
Yes.
That's the part of council that's so important. And so the residents know what we're thinking. So just let me know, just say, can we have more discussion? Not, we need Diana to go ahead and finish, because we got to just be respectful and kind as we go through this process. And I think talking about this is going to be so helpful. And I think we got there right now. So we know that we're all going to have a chance to talk. If I've missed somebody, please, raise your hand. I see Dee Dee down there when she raises her hand. I'm pretty good at that. I try not to miss anybody. So Marianne, I got yours. Dee Dee, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't understand this obsession with time. Do you listen to other council meetings? When you listen to other town council meetings, I've never listened to any other town council where they have lengthy discussions about an obsession with time. They just talk about the topics and they discuss what they have to discuss, and then they just move on like normal people. And somehow we have this odd obsession with time, which takes more time than if we weren't obsessed with time. So it's quite bizarre. And I think that if we would just have a normal discussion as if we were really talking to each other and say, here's my thoughts on this, and not ramble on excessively and be mindful of the clock, that we wouldn't have to be having debates about whether we should talk for 3 minutes or 6 minutes or 20 minutes. Let's just talk about it in a normal context and move on. I think that this debate about the time is a waste of time.
Yeah, but Dee Dee, can I speak, please?
Go ahead.
It has been proven that 5 hours aren't enough for us to handle 4 items on the agenda. Do you realize that this presents a problem with time? And Dee Dee, I hate to say it, but next to Diana, you are taking the most time. And you can train yourself. You're an editor, you write well, so you can
right.
also speak well and concise. You're correcting everybody here. So, look at yourself and say, could I make it shorter?
So Dee Dee, the reason this came out was
It's the second meeting. We
okay,
needed a
Marianne.
special meeting now to cover 4 items, and we are not even finished.
Okay, Marianne, we got it. Dee Dee, I think this came about because of the residents. They're tired of our lengthy meetings.
They are
And they just don't like it. They want us to shorten them up.
I just think
And I'm
that-
going to try and do that with the approval of all of council. And that's how we came to this conclusion, is council decided that 3 minutes was enough. And I think we're doing a pretty good job at that. We're trying, let's put it that way.
Yes.
It's just when we get into the conversation, it just goes on and on and on. I think we could probably make those decisions quite much earlier if we just quit trying to put too many opinions in there all the time, over and over. Anyway, So we're going to keep this the way it is, and then we need to talk about the presentation time period of discussion items when you put something on the agenda. Is that just 3 minutes also? I think we come to that conclusion at this meeting, but I want to put it in writing. 3 minutes for presentations if you put something on the agenda. John, go ahead.
I think 3 minutes is fine because we're obligated to put a memorandum out ahead of time. And that's on the website a week ahead of time. So our 3 minutes is to summarize that memorandum, and should be plenty of time. So I'm okay with the initial 3 minutes. I'm also okay with what Diana's point was after the initial 3 minutes, if the presenter should get the same time as the other people to discuss what the item is. So the presenter actually gets 6 minutes. They took the trouble
Yes.
to write the agenda item up. They get 3 minutes, and then they get a 3-minute time frame when the item comes up as well.
Okay, so I'm going to, Diana, you agree with that, right?
Can
Yes.
we
Okay.
negotiate 5?
I'll get to you. Hang on 1 second.
So
I do what Didi.
presentation of discussion items shall be allocated 3 minutes, whereas the first sentence in number 3 on page 6.
Right. So the only thing that I did differently, since you took your 3 minutes, was I went through everybody else because you had talked about it and then opened it up. We could have discussion at that time. You could take your 3 minutes then.
I
It's
just
not
need
like,
more on here.
as long as we're giving you your time, I think that's what's important. So when I stop you, it's because there's a
Check.
place and a time to start talking. Anyway, Mary Ann, go ahead.
Yes, I want to express to my colleagues here that they are more effective if they speak less. Yes. And you have to think about it. Why can't you just try it one time?
I just have
Okay.
2 changes and then I'll be finished.
All right, Dee Dee, do you have anything else to say on this topic? Dee Dee? Nope. Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. So I just want to make sure we're clear. We're going to give the presenter of the agenda item 3 minutes as well. And then I think the presiding officer should know that they just give the 3 minutes as you go down the line. Okay, great. Diana?
On page 7, page 7 is J7. There was the one that was suggested to move to H. I think instead of Friday, it should be Monday at 12. Because the council member wishes to share information, then they have to have it by Friday. But I would hope staff wouldn't have to work on the weekend. So if you could give it till Monday, then you'd have Monday and Tuesday before the Wednesday meeting. So I'd like to change that Friday to Monday.
All right, I'm not for that because I do a lot of my work starting even on that Wednesday and spend almost the whole week from the time I get that agenda packet, and I especially spend the weekend on it. So I would want the materials before the weekend, John. So I'd keep it as it is.
What does staff think about this?
Agenda items normally for a regularly scheduled town council meeting goes out the week prior, so the Wednesday prior. And if any council member wants to present information on one of the items that was on the agenda, we'd like the presentations by Friday at noon so that the rest of council has that time to incorporate it and look at it along with the agenda item it associates with before the meeting the following Wednesday.
Oh, in that case, my answer is to agree with Caitlin and leave it alone.
Okay, I got to get Mary Ann's opinion on this and then,
So do I. I agree with John.
okay, so you got consensus on that, Dee Dee? Can you give me your opinion on that?
It's fine as it is.
Okay. You have anything else, Diana?
On page 8 of 10 about respect the autonomy of appointed boards and committees. Do we need the language that council members should refrain from speaking at meetings of other town boards or committees? I like that they're entrusted with the responsibility of providing independent recommendations, but I don't know that council members should be muted at those meetings, or if that's what that means.
My opinion on this is I don't like influencing any other board, and I think council is obviously, the decision makers on a lot of things that happen, and I just feel that we should allow those boards to make their own decisions. with the materials that they have presented. And so I don't think council members should speak at those meetings. That's just my opinion. John?
I'd say leave it alone as it is.
Marianne?
Remember, I'm always for less speech.
Okay, Dee Dee?
I think it's fine as is.
All right, you got that. Anything
Okay,
else?
that's all of mine.
All right, I think, are we finished then? Any questions, Caitlin, out of that? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no suggestions.
Thank you. All right. Discussion on town attorney position following resignation. Oh, boy. Okay, I know you brought,
Does council want to make a motion to approve with the amended changes?
we need that, right? Yeah,
Need that.
okay. A motion then?
I'd make a motion to approve the Town of Juno Beach Rules of Procedure and Town Council Protocols as amended.
I second.
You can do roll call?
Conduct a roll call. Councilmember Halpern,
Aye.
Councilmember Hosta,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Aye.
Mayor Wheeler.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, town attorney position. Since hiring an attorney is a council decision and not staff decision, I just wanted to briefly go through what the process could be in hiring a new town attorney for municipal legal services, and maybe discuss HR services as well within that, and what our steps for the process could be. Typically, staff will issue an RFP for these services and advertise the position. Council probably should we should give them a date to start, whether it's immediately or in the future. The RFP process would take about 60 to 90 days, and I think I asked that question to Rob, and you said it's more likely to be about 90 days. Council then will review the submittals and pick a selected number of attorneys or firms, and then we can decide how many attorneys or candidate firms we want from the submittal, whether it's 3, 5, 6, 7. We should probably discuss that a little bit. We should also discuss the HR services, and if council would like to have a firm or that could handle the HR services as well, or if we want to contract out for those services with a different firm. The next step would be council will do interviews. I think that would be open to the public. And then we could probably decide by a straw poll or any other method that we decide on to choose the next town attorney. Does anybody have any questions about the process? Do you like that process? Any other procedures that you think we should go through? And I'll start with John.
Well, thank you, Mayor. The town attorney got hired in 2003. Len, is that right?
I started doing it when I was still at Boost Casey. So that was like 2004, 2005. And then I went out on my own in 2006. And that's when it was formally my own. But
Yeah. And the pay rate in 2004 was $150 an hour.
I think when I first started doing it was like $125 an hour. And then it went up to 150
So in
after
20
that.
years, you only doubled it?
Yes, less than double that.
And I think I had the, oh, that's
We will not-
1921, let's see. The, in 2013, I have the meeting minutes that state the, Jim Lyons, Ellen Andel made a motion to amend the town attorney's contract to increase the hourly rate for legal services from $150 an hour to $175 an hour effective October 2013. So you went from 150 to 175, and now you're all the way up to $200 an hour. That's 33% more in 20 years. And a lot of things went up 33% more in 20 years, a lot more. And I'd like to point out to the council in that time frame, what we now have is an attorney that was worth $150 and every cent of it in 20 years ago, making $200 an hour. But he also has 20 years additional municipal experience that we can rely on. And Len's taken us through so many difficult things. You know, the zoning issues and when I first got on the council, the speed van on the side of the road, the class action lawsuits, dealing with Frenchman's Creek issues, and on and on. And I'd just like to, before we go to an RFQ, I would like to make a motion to increase Len's hourly rate to $300 an hour until Christmas.
Maybe this way we find the person faster.
Motion fails for lack of a second.
That's it.
You know, John, this is very surprising, you know, that you come up with this, you know. I just realized he started with 150 and now he makes 125, 200. At that time, what did the town manager make? Do you think at that time, did the salary of a town manager double in 20 years?
I don't think that matters to this conversation.
It does, because, you know, he is a paid employee and it matters, you know. We want the police to make more, we want our staff to be comfortable. And, you know, and I'm saying, yeah.
So are we under the assumption that Len is resigning because he's not getting paid enough?
No,
Is that what,
and-
is that the direction
and
of this
that's-
conversation?
That's not.
I didn't even think about that.
Look,
I didn't
I-
even think about it. I think he might be just too stressed.
the truth of the matter is, when you go out to RFP, you're going to be closer to that $300 an hour mark. So, because I'll let you know that another city that we represent, or did represent, recently went out to RFP, although they ended up hiring an individual, but the rates were 275 to 3 something. So be prepared that that's probably what you're going to pay.
All right, does anyone else have questions on the process? Diana?
Oh,
So as far as getting applications in, is RFP the only way you get applications in? Or an RFQ?
You want to
Probably.
do an RFP
just-
because you're going to want the rates. An RFQ is just based on qualifications solely, but you want to do an RFP so you get the qualifications and the proposed rates.
And the RFP, just to be clear, will distribute it through a variety of means. We even have the ability to directly distribute it to particular firms if we're interested. So to the extent that council or even Len, for instance, may have firms that he suggests, we can add them to the list and make sure that those particular individual attorneys or firms at least receive a copy of the RFP and have an opportunity to respond. So I don't know if that gets to your question, perhaps.
No, thank you. And I just wanted to thank you, Lynn. I would like to express gratitude for your counsel and wisdom over the years, and would love for you to stay on. So take a vacation and then come back. That's it.
Marianne? Marianne?
I do not
Oh.
understand anything about hiring a new attorney, so I'm okay with the direction given. I would be happy if we found somebody like Len. And then maybe Diana might even apply.
Dee
I have no comments on this.
Okay, so the process sounds fine. So we can direct staff to do that. Len, obviously we all want to thank you, but I'm not ready to let you go yet, so I don't have to
Apparently it's
get
60 to
gushy
90
because
days.
I've been with you since you started here. I mean, I was coming before you when you started in front of council for things. So
Yep.
it's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Not ready to say goodbye yet, so I'm not going to
But
even.
I
go
guess we're
there.
not going to say goodbye yet, so we have time.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. So we need a motion then to direct staff to do an RFP then, or can we?
No.
No, okay.
I think that, look, this is how it's done. It's general, this is how every city does it. You do it through an RFP process. It's a competitive process, and you evaluate the proposals you receive. I'm
Okay,
sure
and-
you'll get, a number of proposals to choose from.
And then Rob or Caitlin, do you guys have questions for us?
Not at this time. I think, again, to actually arrive at a contract with a new firm, 90 days, possibly to the end of the year is a realistic timeframe. We would, of course, want to speak with Len and coordinate with him in terms of timing and availability to make sure the schedules are realistic and dovetail with one another.
All right, and then I just had a couple of things. I've had attorneys calling, just saying hi all of a sudden. And don't think it's a good idea for council members to engage with law firms or attorneys individually or do interviews on their own prior because, well, I think it violates our procurement policies, doesn't it? And I don't think it looks good either. So I suggest that we do this all in the sunshine, in the public. And any private questions or communications should be discussed in a public setting as well. The other thing I wanted to talk about is rotating attorneys. I know that was brought up to me by a resident, and I'm like, having Len here every single month and him knowing our town and knowing what's happening and having that history, I think is very, very important because he's familiar with it. But that's something that as we get those applications in, we can take a look at and have that conversation further if you want.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Would we consider hiring a staff attorney versus a consultant who works with many municipalities? Would that be something, as I was doing research online, looking at what other towns have, I just thought that might be an option. Or is that too costly to hire and have a permanent attorney who's dedicated entirely to us versus somebody who's, outsourced and working for several towns? Just throwing it out there.
Rob, maybe you can answer that, or Len, based on your experience, because I don't know what the annual fee would be for something like
Yeah,
that. And
I
if
think
it
for
was
a
warranted.
town of this size, it's probably not practical to have an in-house legal. I mean, you'd have to set up everything. You'd have to, it's the attorney, then there'd be an assistant, then there'd be the research, then there'd be, and then, you'd probably still have to hire outside firms. So I think it behooves the town to go with a firm that has a breadth of experience. I just think that's the way to go.
And I think that Len's assessment is on target.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we're good on that topic. We can go on to comments from the council. And Dee Dee, I'll start with you.
I'll let John start. I'll go
Okay.
last.
Go ahead, John.
Just want to mention the League of Cities coming up. I'm not sure who all is going. I'm going. And
I'm
Trish
going.
is going. Mayor's going.
I don't have a spouse to.
Town clerk, not going. Town manager, not going. Vice Mayor Pro Tem,
Going. You're not going or going? You are going. Okay, good.
Councilmember Hosta,
I'm going.
wonderful. Councilmember Halpern,
I'm going.
we have a full house.
Oh my goodness, that's great. That's wonderful.
Some of the things to look out for is there's multiple conferences, to go to these and to make sure we cover all the ground. Sometimes we might have to all not go to the same popular conference because they do is they schedule them and it's hard because all the good ones will be at the same time. So if we all pick the good one, then nobody picks the one on legal liability or, some kind of oddball topic that seems boring and we all pick the whatever, Senate Bill 180 will be packed if they have one on that. you know, what the impact of that was. Everyone in a conference, so we want to get in there. So anyways, we should talk about, you know, making sure we cover all the bases if we, you know, if we could possibly do it. And I just know I'm looking forward to meeting with some people from other towns to get their ideas, especially how people are handling Senate Bill 180, and any of the issues in town that we can, you know, learn from their mistakes. Thank you.
All right, Diana.
I just wanted to respond to Ms. Basso's comment regarding, she was recalling a conversation that I had had with her husband about litigation risk or something, and I don't recall having that conversation. So I know she stepped out and left the room, but since we don't respond to those comments right away, that I would just say that I don't recall that conversation, and certainly not the characterization that she gave that. So thank you. That's it.
Marianne?
Yeah, I just wanted to finish what I started, that I was baffled about putting all these restrictions on to Seacoast for paving a road, which is really to our benefit. And considering all the legal harm that could happen, illegal responsibilities resulting from that, when, for example, we are, or you are kind of cavalier about the dealing with the suits, with the court cases that could come up because of, you know, ruling this way about Senate Bill 180, that you take the risk to face those lawsuits, but you don't want to take the risk with paving of a road. I can't understand that.
Can I
Is that-
respond?
Well, let's just go down the line and not, let's do that. Marianne, do you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Dee Dee?
Diana can respond in context, it's fine.
Well, go, Dee Dee, you go first, and then she feels like she wants to respond. I have to give Marianne a response too. So then we go back and forth, and this is what we're trying to avoid.
Okay. I'd like to get council consensus to have staff do an ad to open up a resident call for people to join the Audit Oversight Committee. We're still down several members from that committee, and even though they are currently on hiatus, I think it would be nice to have a full committee so that when they do reconvene, it's complete. So it might be nice to advertise now that there's some openings and see if we get some interest.
I think, John, you were not involved in that whatsoever because you're new. So do we want to take a look at the ordinance again that we put together and see if we're getting the qualifications of people that we want? Because I think that's important to me, that we're getting people that are qualified for that position and not.
I don't think that there was any problem identified along the way with the qualification request.
I think that we need to stipulate other qualifications in there because I don't think we did as good a job. So I would like to do that, but everybody else has their opinion too. So I would give a consensus to move it back onto the agenda.
If it
and
needs to
review
become
it.
an agenda item for it to happen, then so be it. But I would just like to see a full committee convened.
So I think we just need to look at the scope and have John review it a little bit, gives him the opportunity if he wants it. John, go ahead.
No, I don't need to look at the scope, but I don't know if that committee has a job to do yet. So I wouldn't be in favor of advertising anything before the committee has been delegated, it's been specific tasks. But if Dee Dee, you want a discussion item, I'd favor it, if that's what you're asking for.
Well, I don't know, Diana, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm in favor of having an ad and filling up getting citizens on the audit committee. I think it's important to have citizen committees that participate in our town government.
Right, and then my point is then they're at the ready. We're not waiting for some task to happen, and now we're rushing to find a complete set of people. So why not advertise in advance and let them know there's no immediate task, but you're in or something.
But the question I have is, what are they doing? We don't have tasks for them to do, and council is supposed to set these tasks. And so if we don't review this again to see if we even have tasks for them, we're asking people to come in and apply to something that we don't even know if we have a job for them to do and if it's necessary. So I think we do have to go through that and take a look at it. If there's a consensus, I was for sunsetting it, but if everybody wants to keep it going, we have to do it right.
As
Go ahead.
as far as I remember, if I think of the accomplishment of that committee that we had, I cannot think of anyone. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe and I stand corrected, but as far as achievements went, there was nothing achieved. So I think we did not set the right parameter. And we should first think, what are the responsibilities? At the time we asked them, I think we were not happy with our auditor, which has changed. We hired a better auditor. So what would you like them to do?
All right, and I'll come
that.
back to you. We should really be asking Emily these questions. Is it necessary? I mean, she's our new finance director. This started before she became our finance director. She can tell us if she feels that she's capable of handling this. Is there anything that she sees there that is required? Is there any review? I mean, the whole oversight committee started because somebody thought there was shenanigans going on in town, which wasn't true. And they wanted some oversight. And to me, there was nothing that they were doing that was not being done by the audit committee or the audit firm. And with Emily just getting in there, she might be able to handle the whole thing.
So the audit,
So,
if I may just respond, because I brought this topic up, so I'd just like to clarify. The committee was never meant to supplant the job of the finance director. It's oversight. It's a second layer, additional layer of protection. So I don't want anybody to have the perception that this committee somehow does the work of the finance director in managing the audit. So I wanted to clarify that. We can certainly wait for Emily to weigh in, but I'm not in favor of sunsetting the group.
And then what is the oversight of? What are you overseeing, Dee Dee?
I don't have the documents in front of me, so I can't speak to the full mission. So it would not be pertinent for me
Diana, go
to
ahead.
try to pretend that I have that memorized.
Okay.
I had discussions with Emily and also had discussions with our auditor. And the auditor checks all the numbers. So, the auditor, I think of the auditor as a calculator, make sure that the numbers on the pages are correct. But the thing that our audit oversight committee could do is they could help us with the optimization of the process and procedures under operational excellence and to reduce risk in that manner. And, maybe they could suggest additional audit checkpoints or, some other ways that we could reduce risk. But I see it as important because it's not the auditor's job to optimize the procedures, but that's something certainly that our citizens committee could work on.
Rob, do you have any thoughts on this as Emily
Sure.
talked to you? I know you weren't here at the time this whole thing came about, but
Sure, I'll relate what I've had in conversations with Emily so far. Emily has indicated that the audit group really has no continuing value and ought to be sunset. Her perspective on it was that it was highly political in its original form, and she had grave concerns that that would be repeated on a moving forward basis. On the one hand, tonight I've heard, one council member say that it would not be the audit committee's role to direct or assume finance department roles and responsibilities. Yet another one says that they would assume responsibility for operational excellence. Just the term operational excellence is inward focused on professional staff who are trained and have expertise in this area. With Emily having been relatively new to her position, she's already undertaken and implemented some key improvements, both technologically and operationally. And I don't believe that adding another layer of supervision for Emily when she reports directly to the town manager to direct operational excellence and/or checks and balances in our accounting and finance systems is going to be very productive and could, in fact, be just the contrary. It could be counterproductive in that our work is distracted by multiple requests for information and data, and we are unable, therefore, to proceed with our plan to modernize and improve our accounting procedures, as well as the tools and techniques that we have for monitoring our progress towards achieving this organization's and community's goals. So unless and until that is demonstrated not to be working, I suspect Emily's recommendation, per my conversation with her and mine as well, would be let that group sunset. And unless and until a specific charge that warrants a group coming in like that arises, we not just arbitrarily throw in a group of volunteers that lack the same backgrounds that we have and dedicated interest in improving both our financial and other operational controls and processes.
If I may, again, the goal of that group, to my knowledge, is not to, it's called audit oversight because it's overseeing the audit or the auditor. It's not overseeing the finance director in any way. It's not about auditing Emily. Right?
I hear what you're saying, Dee Dee, but I also heard what Diana said, which was something very different.
But I
So-
want to clarify what I'm saying is that I'm not insinuating that our finance director needs any oversight, that it was specific to the auditing process
So
and the
they-
audit and the document from the external auditor.
Sure.
And that, to my recollection, this group looks at that auditing document and the
And-
findings from that. And that was the main mission, if I can remember correctly.
And I think Emily's response to that was that the town council's, role and responsibility is to look at that document rather than assigning that role and responsibility to like this in-between layer of individuals. You've got a finance director who's responsible for public finance here in the town of Juno Beach. You have external auditors that come in and validate that the appropriate checks and balances are in place, highlight any deficiencies in either our reporting or our procedures or protocols. And then the town council receives that report and is provided with a presentation, I presume. I was not here last time, but should have a presentation from the independent auditing firm themselves and have opportunity to query them on how rigorous their protocols and procedures are. And then as a last layer, all members of the community have access to that report, can submit comments to council, can participate live in meetings. So there's little utility in having kind of like this in-between layer between the auditor, staff, and the council when other organizations routinely handle this responsibility without that kind of potential problematic interaction between volunteers, council, staff, auditor. It's been characterized as not productive.
And I just want to mention, you talk about oversee the audit firm. The level of experience to oversee an audit firm from a governmental perspective, that takes some experience. We would be better if there is a question on the auditors that we've hired to get a third party outside additional audit firm if there is a problem and you want to oversee the auditors. So it's got to make sense. And we don't want to just have an audit firm just to have, or an audit committee just to have an audit committee. And they do have to have experience. That goes back to the scope. And, it's a whole level of reanalyzing this whole thing and then taking into consideration Emily's feelings on the whole thing too.
I would just like to clarify that optimizing processes and procedures isn't intended to denigrate anyone's professional qualifications, education, the job that they're doing. It's just how the town gets better. And then having citizens involved gives us more buy-in and helps us through the process. It's not intended to say a check on an employee or a check on the manager or something. It's just to get better as a group. And I would hope we would always welcome opportunities for improvement moving forward.
But Diane, you have to have a level to do that. You have to have a level of individuals that can, let's say, your optimized processes and procedures. What do you want to look at the insurance
Are you
program?
talking about the
Hang
people
on,
we have
hold on a
now
second.
or new people? Because I think we do have qualified people.
Well, if, you know, but that means they, exactly what Rob was talking about, they go into the insurance program. Do we have the right insurance? That's what we have that's what we have Andrea for. You know, they're constantly working on this. There's backup. So I think maybe we need an education here. I don't think all of us have really been educated on what the town actually is doing now. And I think that would be helpful for us to see the level of processes and procedures that you guys have. Because I know when I was talking to Andrea, I was like, oh, wow, we have all that. So maybe we can schedule that before we move forward and get a presentation from Andrea on that, or Rob and Andrea, however you feel, and Emily. Is that okay that we do a presentation on that so we see exactly how well the town is protected and some
Sure.
of our processes and procedures? Because I know,
Insurance and procurement.
yeah, I think that would be great.
What are you asking, Mayor?
Just have Andrea, Emily, and Rob just tell us what are some of those processes and procedures that they do. I was not aware of a lot of them. When we first started this, I went in and I was told we have all this in place already. And I was like, wow, this is great. These are some of the procedures that we have that I was not aware of, that I think it's good for council to be aware of, because it's just positive for us to know it. So they just come in and give a presentation on that.
A presentation from Rob, Andrea, and Emily?
Yeah, and, you know, do you understand what I'm talking about, Rob?
What I'm hearing, and I want to confirm too, to make sure that we come back with what we're being asked, is perhaps Andrea might do a presentation on insurance coverage and risk management, that kind of thing. Emily would do a presentation on the procurement rules, regulations, checks and balances, processes and procedures, the technology enhancements that she's both planned and undertaken, that kind of thing, just to provide a 10-minute overview on each of those topics and provide council with the opportunity to ask questions, and we could follow up with whatever follow-up is necessary after that.
I also think security within the town, what our computers, all of that, IT, yeah, cybersecurity.
There's certain things in cybersecurity that we probably would not want to bring to the public discussion apart from, at the very highest level. So in terms of presentation, certainly insurance procurement, we can talk a little bit about cybersecurity, some of our protocols and procedures that we have. But that probably would not go into much depth.
Okay, so whatever else, Rob and, your department heads think are important, I think, for the town.
If I may, Mayor,
Yeah,
as we are in the middle of budget season, I know Emily's extremely busy, and I do believe there's a couple RFPs that we have out. So I know Andrea is busy as well. Is council looking at just a future agenda for these presentations?
I think so.
It can be in the fall.
Yeah.
That wasn't the point of my comment.
After
So this
budget.
is an ancillary thing
sure.
that came up. It's not
Okay.
urgent. So I have another item regarding Universe Boulevard. About a year or so ago, prior to the drainage project, the council at that time had voted to make a complete street. Universe Boulevard is our road. There is no bike lane there. And we had voted there was consensus to vote to put a bicycle lane or some kind of shared use path on the north side. When the drainage project was finished and the swales and the drain infrastructure was there, it precluded us actually being able to do that. But we may be able to put a multi-use path or a bike path on the south side of Universe Boulevard. And I had briefly spoken to somebody at the TPA. They have grants for that type of thing, and they also have, the ability to do like a bird's eye view of the road and make recommendations. And I would just like consensus to have staff talk to the TPA about grant options and how they could assist us. They have some free tools and things like that to assess Universe Boulevard for a bike lane or multimodal path.
By way of grant, you're saying, or?
Well, grants is one option, but they also have other resources just to help with the assessment of it to say if it's even feasible. So they have like feasibility tools for free. I don't see that there's a problem.
Yeah, there's not a problem. I think that's a good idea. And in fact, when we had the repaving of Universe proposed in our initial version of the budget, we got some feedback. We're going to bump that till the next fiscal year to allow some time to take a look at this so that we don't, immediately repave and then want to do something a little different based on complete streets or anything like that. So in any case, I was going to be reaching out to TPA on that as well as some other transportation related issues that I wanted to chat with them about. So we can absolutely be sure to do that, see what tools are available, and particularly free tools. And if there are grants, I'm sure those will come up in that conversation too.
Is everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I would also like the council to reconsider last night's vote against a response to the Coast Guard. Last night's, I made a motion and it just seemed like a knee-jerk reaction. Everybody said, no, let the county reach out to the Coast Guard to adjust the Donald Ross Bridge schedule. But I think this needs to be another agenda item. It is our issue. I think that we are intrinsically tied to that bridge, and to sort of put that on the county to represent our needs might not work in our favor. We have a ton of good reasons and good arguments to rebut the Coast Guard's denial of our request to alter the bridge schedule. And I would like council to reconsider the motion against us. Well, I don't know. Can I make a motion to reconsider? How does that work? I forgot how that,
Right, has to be somebody on the prevailing side.
so they prevailed against it. But anyway, I think it was a knee-jerk reaction, and there would be more benefit for us to rebut it than put that in the county's lap and expect them to advocate on our behalf. Is anybody willing to reconsider their motion? No, that's too bad. That's a, yeah, I know, but
Wait, did we actually have a motion on this?
yes, I made a motion and you.
And the motion
You,
was
John and
to-
Mary.
yeah.
The motion I made was to have staff write a rebuttal letter to the Coast Guard re-advocating for altered bridge opening schedule.
So I asked Frank, I need more information. Do you have more information on this? Because Frank said they denied it the first time and then he was going to write a letter back, and I need to know where that letter is in that mix.
The issue that we had at the last meeting was Dee Dee had mentioned that she spoke with David Ricks, and David Ricks expressed that the county was supportive and had data to support changing the bridge schedule. And the conversation was that if the county is actually in a position to bargain for the bridge operating, open and closing to be changed in a manner that we were seeking but got denied, rather than staff writing another letter and just, not being effective in battling the Coast Guard, the county has a much stronger voice when it comes to influencing federal decisions. And since David Ricks has already indicated to our council member that they're interested in that, it would be best if the county led that conversation, and we could certainly sign on to it as an interested party and they could express joint interest. But I would suggest that the county's influence would be much broader and deeper than what ours is. And given the fact that the Coast Guard already rejected ours, it's unlikely that a second bite at the apple will be very effective. So a different strategy is needed, in other words.
So
And-
if I
Okay.
can add to that, please. So when Mr. Ricks said he would support us, he never said to me that they would do it on our behalf. So I think it's presumptuous for that. I would say you would need to talk to him. He was more saying that, they could back our request, not that they have any interest in doing it. So I don't want to presume that it's in the county's interest to do it. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if you read the letter that we initially sent, the Coast Guard person, she says, or I think it was a woman who, I forgot now, who wrote the reply, said that we hadn't provided the timeframes that we want the bridge schedule altered. So they plugged in timeframes on our behalf. And I don't think that that's smart. I think we should be telling the Coast Guard what timeframes we want, because it was just too convenient. They pulled data for, just a couple of months. We didn't give them enough guidance as to what we really wanted. And we didn't make a good, I don't think, in my opinion, we didn't make a strong argument for what we wanted. And it's being done, they did it for Palm Beach for several other bridges.
Yeah, and I'm for this. I'm the one that originally had the letter go out from David because
Well,
somebody
I
had
think it was in tandem. I think we were all for it.
Yeah, we're all for it, but I think David and I had talked about it and he got, the original letter out. But what I'm saying is there was a follow-up letter that you're talking about 4 different hours, and that's what we need to take a look at. I'm definitely for
So
following
then why
up
did
again.
everyone vote against it last night?
I don't know. I can't remember the whole.
It was a knee-jerk reaction.
So-
All I said was a motion for staff to write a rebuttal letter.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Dee Dee. So, I mean, I'm definitely for.
Should we make this an agenda item so that we can discuss it further? Or does staff want to reach out to the county and see what data they
Let
can
me
provide
get
to
Heather to-
bolster the argument?
Let me get some
If-
other opinions.
I don't think we need an agenda item to direct staff to write a letter. If we want to write another letter, I think we could certainly do that. I would highly recommend that we reach out to the county. I'll have the conversation with Mr. Ricks because if in fact he is a proponent of this, having that leverage is going to be very meaningful when it comes to effectuating any kind of positive change. Now, when I reach out to Mr. Ricks, if he reports, no, the county's not interested in doing that or partnering or in any giving us a letter of support or anything of that nature, then we can still write another letter. I would just temper council expectations and community expectations because they've already denied it once. And I know there was some back and forth over the hours and we requested times for bridges opening and closing and all different kinds of things. But again, just tempering expectations, I strongly suspect that with the Coast Guard having taken the position they have already and went back and forth over the times, there's almost no chance that they're going to concede to Juno Beach's request as a standalone entity. And it would have a much greater chance of success with Mr. Ricks. So we'll reach out to him, hopefully get county support, submit another letter and see where it heads.
So the other thing that I think would be important to add to that letter is our request could be seasonal. Obviously, the traffic isn't backing up to Ocean Drive. So I think that they thought we were asking for an annual change as Palm Beach did. But if we make our request seasonal, when we have the most difficulty with it, I mean, clearly, October through March or April, the traffic is literally backed up to Ocean Drive. So maybe the Coast Guard would be more amenable to the suggestion if it wasn't year-round.
That's not a bad idea. I think you should find out first if that is something that they even take on. Otherwise, I wouldn't,
Who could
find
take
out
it-
that if
who
they would
could-
do it seasonal,
that who
because that
could take
seems
on?
that the Coast Guard would even accept and say, yeah, I could do it seasonal. And then you've got, when does it change? And when doesn't it change? When is season in? Is it January, March, April? So it could present a problem. I don't think it's a good idea, but let's just make sure that that's something that they would even entertain. So I'm for that, Dee Dee. So you've
Well,
got,
you can call, I mean, you can pick up the phone and call them. I mean, we could test
Yeah.
the waters, or staff could reach out to the
Yep.
Coast Guard individual who sent that letter and just,
Yep.
get their thoughts on it and
Okay.
help compose the letter. I don't think they're there to, stonewall us.
we got it, I
necessarily.
think. Go ahead, Marianne.
Just in reference to Dee Dee's comments, I said that yesterday and you did not really want to listen. It's about the union of the people who tend to the bridges, who are interested in keeping them up and down. And I know from other communities that this was the reason why they didn't get the point across. So making it seasonal would be even, now, I have a full-time job in the winter, but not a full-time job. The more we ask detail, the more we are working against us. I think if we just let them decide when they want to open or close, just make sure less openings and less closings. That's the real, the
Okay.
crux
Dee
of
Dee,
the
anything
matter.
else?
I have to disagree with that. I believe when you read the letter, they say their primary concern is maritime traffic. And that's what they're schedule is all about is getting barges, commercial boat, and recreational boats through. I didn't recall their letter said anything about union issues. So really, I mean, Rob's nodding his head here. I think
Yeah,
it's-
I'm
it's
saying
about the boat
maritime
traffic.
traffic is their primary concern, and they cite federal regulations about maritime law, and that's part of the challenge in Juno Beach being successful in modifying the bridge schedule. They did not mention other factors, but again, working with the county as a partner, hopefully we can leverage their influence to help effectuate positive change, and we'll report back, but we'll press every lever, and if there's specific ideas or suggestions that council have that may help strengthen a letter, by all means, get them to me, and we'll make sure that we weave them in.
All right, is that it, Dee Dee?
That's all, thank you.
Oh, John, sorry, your light went on.
My light went on because we're talking about the discussion here. We should have an opportunity, even though we didn't bring it up. Dee Dee brought it up.
Yep, just have to turn your light on, that's all you have to do, and I know you
So
want to talk, that's good.
Dee Dee said we dismissed her motion yesterday. My reason for dismissing, voting against it, because it was off topic for master plan. That was my entire reason why I didn't think that it was appropriate to take time away from our master plan to talk about the boat openings. So I'm not necessarily against having that conversation. I was against having it last night. If we do go forward with it, with the town sending another letter, you may want to consider the voters in Bay Colony and Oak Harbor to have boats. Their viewpoint on maritime traffic might be different. And the concept of only limiting it to season, that's when the boaters are here. So to say that we could have, less openings during season, that's the only time they care about. They're not here now. So they don't care what happens all summer. But they might care if they have to wait and have less bridge openings in the summer. So there's an advantage of having the county go through that and not having the town of Juno Beach, because you put it on an agenda item that there's going to be a change might affect boaters, and you can have boaters here, might have an issue with that. But I did want to get back to
Dee Dee, are you
one of
finished?
her
Is
other-
this the same?
the other
Okay.
thing that you mentioned that seemed to be, I don't know if it's a consensus about Emily, Rob, and Andrea giving a presentation. I'd like to talk about that to see if we'd like to hear from the rest of the council on that concept.
Yeah.
But if you want to finish the boat thing, the bridge thing first, I mean.
Yeah, Dee Dee, do you have anything
Well,
else?
no, I mean, John, those are good perspectives. I guess maybe Rob can speak to somebody at the county. And I think it's about feeling out the situation and finding the best path forward is really what it's about.
Okay. I think we've done everyone except for myself, but I'll let you go, John.
Well, back to the idea that we're going to have a presentation from Emily, Andrea, and Rob. Why stop there? Why not get one from Public Works and one from Planning and one from Admin and one from the police as well? Now, they wouldn't have it all in the same night, but the same concept that we have a presentation from each department and have an opportunity to look, to hear from them and have some council feedback on their operations would be, I think, beneficial. So I would expand it to the other departments as well if we went that route.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. One of the things that we had tried to change for this year's budget cycle was to have our leadership team members, the department heads, present on their individual budgets. When they do that kind of thing, this is exactly what we're talking about. They're presenting their budget. You guys can ask them things about what they do and don't do. And that typically is the opportunity for council to get those kinds of departmental overviews and even get a little bit in depth because it's tied to their goals and objectives for the upcoming year, the financing we're giving them to achieve them, and that sort of thing. But given our starting point, that is the starting point that Emily and I inherited upon starting here, we have a lot of ground to close to get to a point where we're comfortable with the department heads up here presenting their budgets, and having full knowledge of them and ability to negotiate those conversations. So that having been said, Emily's doing budget presentations this year. Next year, it will look a little bit different. We'll be making the next step, and our department heads will be doing that. But in between now and then, there's certainly no reason why they can't come and speak to their departmental operations and give council an opportunity to chat with them outside of the budget, which is why I think we're talking about in the fall after we get the budget adopted. Things are on a little bit of a different pace, and yeah, we'll invite them in and they can do an overview, Q&A, and that'll help them warm up even for the next budget cycle when they'll come and present their own individual budgets.
Okay. That's it. Everyone else, I'll be fast here. At the last meeting for the budget, I forgot to mention, and I think somebody mentioned one of them, on new employees, I would like to have not only the salary, but the salary range, the employee benefits, all numbers put to this, the professional fees associated with the employee. So, because in order to make a decision on anybody, we need to know the total cost of the employees. And then I did ask way before you, Rob, and I think it was before Michael even, or maybe it was during Michael's reign, for a 3, 5, 10-year projection on revenues to meet the town's future budgets. And so I've had residents go, oh, we're going to have tons of money. And, you know, when Coretta opens and Pulte is finished, and I had actually talked to Emily about that. And I think you might have been in that meeting. And she said it really is not as much as we think it is. You know, you might be doing a couple 100,000. I think somebody said they saw 400,000, but I'd like to know if, you know, I'm not asking for her to do it now, but in the future after budget session, maybe we can get some of those projections and know, you know, after Coretta is finished, because it's not, even though they finish the project, they're not taxed until the following year. Is that correct, Rob? Pretty sure that's right. Yeah.
It's the year after they issue the CO.
Right.
for
So
projection.
this might not happen for a couple of years, you know, when we can count on it, what's the estimated amount we can count on, that type of thing. So if I could just remind, you know, the new town manager and finance director to kind of put that on the schedule somewhere, because I did get permission for that during a consensus. And that's it. If everybody is finished, we can adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, it's a new record, right? 3 hours?
Yeah, well,